Congratulations to the winners, which I have to go back and look up who they were, and I will send you money. Thank you for watching, rating, and reviewing.
Remember? One. You asked, how would you pronounce that name with all the Z's in a row? I said, Zzz. This is good material, folks. We are like 2 hours and 20 minutes into this show. This is good material.
We are 2 hours and 51 minutes into this, Tim.
Oh, God. That's so self-indulgent.
You literally cut him off from ending the show.
I tried to end the show.
We do not need to be going on at 2 hours and 50 minutes per show.
I'm sorry. I'm not the one who was fighting about food sample curtains.
Well, just it makes me anxious.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Week 9. Picks against the spread. Got some news, some trades, some benchings, plus a mini version of Cust Corner. Reminder to all of you to smash the like while you're out there. And I got some winners to give away here in a second. But first, I want to bring in Geoff Fienberg, fresh off his performance on the new internet gossip show that you and Pizzola do, which I very much enjoy.
Oh, yes. Thank you. 4 episodes in the books. The feedback's been actually quite superb thus far after all the episodes, so that's nice. Felt said a long time there's a need in the marketplace for something like this, and we're doing it, so go check that out.
You'll be the one to fill it.
No, listen, that's just we'll see. In the moment, at this moment in time, I am, but like I said, there's a need in the marketplace, and at this moment, I'm filling it.
All right, well, you can check that out on the Forward Progress YouTube channel. That's Pizzola's channel. The coin sale here. Paul and Jared are here, and coming up on the line right now, it is Tim Cust.
Tim Cust.
That's not my name.
Big fan of Smashburgs, are you?
Not really. I was a fan of the condiments and things that were provided to me. That I was excited about.
What do you think, Geoff? Do you think that Tim was enjoying that burger?
Of course he was. And I could see, Tim, any good condiments could overcome, anything, can make anything good. That being said, smash burger still preferred over steakhouse burger. I don't even know what Tim quantifies the quarter pounder as, because that is essentially the size of a, the thickness of a smash burger. But going back to Sunday, it was Tim bragging about being an excellent flashlight holder that got me. 2 things that killed me. That would essentially be like someone bragging they're good at changing the batteries in the remote, Pat. That was the skill. I was really good at swapping out those double or triple A's for the family. That's what bragging about holding a flashlight will do for you. But I'm not kidding. I am has it been 2 days since a day and a half removed from an oblique injury caused by Tim's sneeze.
I suppose that's not good for the Browns. They have Hopkins.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
It put me out. I think I was walking the dog. I was bending over to pick up dog shit. He got me in an awkward position and I was dead. I was dead. But despite the pain, I was laughing uncontrollably hard, which made it hurt that much more. I have still not recovered, and I'll probably miss my season finale golf round for the end of the week.
Well, that's what happens when you get the hawk on you.
I don't know it was that funny, Geoff, so much that you literally had to split your sides.
I did. No, it was I'm old. I could hurt myself sneezing at this point in life, and I have before. That's embarrassing to admit, but it's one of those things where you're just bending in an awkward position, and then you laugh or get taken so off guard, and I got so good. My body wasn't prepared for this. It's like an old person playing pickleball. It was a sudden movement, and an internal hiccup, and my insides kind of exploded. I mean that as a compliment. You did that to me.
Well, you mean it as a compliment. You don't mean it as a compliment because what you were laughing at
No,
was just
I
me
don't
taking a
like,
sneeze.
it just made me laugh. It's not like it's rude or embarrassing. It was just funny. Like it's nothing to be ashamed of, I don't think. It was just really funny. The
All right. Well, I'm
timing of
glad
it.
I was amazed. I'm glad I was able to amuse you such that it caused you physical harm.
See, now it hurts because I'm laughing.
All right, I got some winners to give away. I was feeling generous because I just noticed I paid off my last corporate tax bill of the year. So extra money to go around to you
Q4.
good people. There we are. Yeah, my year end is Halloween, so I got to wrap everything up here. So the winner of the $500 giveaway is Steve J. Paul. And the winners of an additional $100, you guys were the runners up here, Troy Blades and at Breaking Bad. Zzz. That's with 4 Z's, Tim. How would you pronounce that?
The same way you did.
Zzz.
Yeah.
When you were holding the flashlight, did they ever get you to hold a drill at the same time?
I've held drills before, but not when usually flashlights and drills don't often go together. Usually it's, your car's being worked on or something like that.
Many have complained about their jobs being replaced by machines, but are you the originator of all of this, that your job as professional flashlight holder was taken by flashlight on a helmet?
Well, I'm not a professional. Just saying that I'm excellent at holding a flashlight. I can just anticipate where the light needs to go next and hold it at the right angle. So it's not too bright. It's not too dim.
Avoid shadows.
Yeah, exactly. Avoiding the shadows. I'm actually really good at it.
Well, we got some real NFL news to talk about. Geoff, I'll start with you. Phony Tony. Paul Shaughnessy snuffed this one out from day one, gave him the nickname. He's been benched by the Colts for Joe Flacco. The line only moved a point in the Sunday Night Football game. We'll get to that game later on in the show. I mean, how bad does it have to be that you're benching Anthony Richardson right now for a guy and a team whose best outcome of the year is not as high as the Browns' outcome from last year with Joe Flacco, which was losing in the first round?
So I totally agree with that assessment. I'm pretty surprised by this because I don't think Steichen is in this need to save his job situation. I think he's sort of proven that he's probably a good coach and that I think the league considers him a pretty good coach. A developmental quarterback after 10 games. This is what comes with drafting this guy. Bryce Young looks nothing like the quarterback we saw at Alabama. Nothing. Anthony Richardson looks every part of the quarterback we saw at Florida. It's the same guy with 10 more starts. If watching from the sideline is the way to develop him, then he never should have played last year. He should have held a clipboard for the entire year. Even though he played 4 games and got hurt, but I mean, from a logical development standpoint. So I don't really get it. And I don't think the Colts believe at all he is their starting quarterback in 2026. No chance. They might say that he still is in some of their verbiage. I don't believe for a second he is. If you're pulling the plug after 10 starts. And I don't know what you learn, how you can develop in the NFL midseason. League rules, PA rules, there's very little time for actual practice. And the starting quarterback, unless he's hurt, is going to take the snaps in practice. There's very little time afforded to develop.
Tim, was this phoned in by Irsay? Because this is what this reeks of.
I mean, I would assume the owner has to have some sort of at least sign off on the decision to bench the quarterback you last season drafted 4th overall. So I don't know if it was Irsay's decision, but I'm certain that he had some say in it because it's a monumental choice. Because once you choose to now, at least you're choosing to bench him for somebody who's 40 years old. So it's not like this person is going to be who's taking his job is going to be the quarterback of the future. So you're not completely giving up on him, but it's very difficult to find throughout the history of the NFL where you bench somebody who you drafted as your future QB and have played, and then he comes back later on and starts for you. So it's a pretty big moment.
Can I counter that? I actually think it would be the coach and not Irsay, Pat. This is a coach who has a locker room and just wants to make the playoffs. Like, does not care about the organization in 2 or 3 years. This is a coach that sees a chance to make the playoffs. I watch your content. So you have now put it in my head as a Charger fan, I need to cheer against this Colts team as we, are trying to musical chairs playoff spots when we start getting to that time of year. But I think this is a coach that says we deserve to have the best chance possible to make the playoffs. Ownership, do you grant me that permission to give my team this right and put the development on hold or axe it?
It feels like it's axed to me. Like, there's no coming back for Bryce Young. There's no coming back from Anthony Richardson from this. And I think we can all stop with this guy is the next Josh Allen when there's like a toolsy prospect who sucks. Like, one out of 100 guys of this profile got better, and it was Josh Allen, and the rest of them are selling insurance right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Mahomes chasing as well, because he was drafted as a developmental project QB. He got a city year, but
Mahomes started that Week 17 game. I think it was against Denver, and he came in and he was awesome right away,
dude.
And then Alex Smith came back in for the playoffs, and they got rid of Alex Smith. There was never a time in Patrick Mahomes' career where he wasn't good. He was always good.
Dude, there was a preseason play against the Bears from Mahomes where he does, I believe it was the Bears. I'm sure the hardcore Chiefs fans know it as the moment they knew that they had something. And I watched that as a rival, like hoping he's not something. And he made a play in his first preseason game, moving sideways, launching it like halfway down the field. And I know I was just like, oh my God, we might be shit out of luck. Like, never saw this coming. But yeah, so you're right. Mahomes literally showed you from the first moment he walked on a field that he's probably different.
And I do think that there's another reverse side to this because he can theoretically run, Tim, but he's been hurt 3 times running. Like, this hasn't happened to every other running quarterback. Like, if you want to compliment to Josh Allen, that's fine and everything, but Josh Allen's been hurt, once in 5 years, and he still played through it?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly it, that he continues to get hurt. He's incredibly inaccurate, and he hasn't shown any development he's played very few games, but he just hasn't shown any growth. So with a team that does have a chance to make the playoffs, I think it's the right move. What else can you do?
They probably saw things, Pat, Tim mentions it, growth. Because I'm sure all through the week, there's like 2 or 3 key things they're stressing that, like, in this situation, if this happens, we want you to do this. Like telling a child. And he must have missed it because the floor was probably pretty low for them in terms of like what they would put up with. And he's clearly not even meeting that. And so they felt they had to do it. But I'm with you. I think this means they don't believe he's the quarterback of the future.
And now they put themselves in an especially difficult spot because they're playing to be, the 6th seed at best in the AFC and probably still going to miss the playoffs because Flacco's fine. He's not great. He is an improvement based on everything that we've seen this year, Tim. But if you're a fan of the Colts, do you want this or would you rather than just play Richardson? Either he figures it out or he sucks and you get the better draft pick and start rebuilding right away. Because like Geoff said, if they don't think that he's the quarterback of the future, they're going to give him another run to start next year. Like, what's that going to do for you?
I don't know if there's any wrong answers here. I think you can make a strong case for continuing to play him to see what you've got. But I also think you can make a strong case that this team has talent, that they could make the playoffs. The AFC is weak. Let's just take our chances and try to make it. This team had a chance to make the playoffs last year and lost the last second. So there's a lot of players in that room who would have you risk losing the room completely if you choose to play the quarterback who isn't as good and they once again don't make the playoffs. So I get for like social peace reasons why you might make this change.
But do you, because this is like an argument going on in my group chat at the moment. If you can make the playoffs, like, do you do that at all costs?
Tim doesn't want to do it. Tim would prefer the Jets be shitty now.
But I agree. Like, no, I'd rather go 8-9 and let Richardson get 9 more starts then go what you said, Pat, 9-8 and make the playoffs with Flacco and likely lose on wild card weekend. It's fun. The Colts, I like the team, but he's not winning 3 straight games against Lamar, like just the 3 quarterbacks you'd have to beat 3 weeks in a row. Which is not. So let's stop that. And I'd rather go 8-9 and let the developmental quarterback who I drafted 4th develop. That's what I would rather do. But I could see why they feel like for themselves, they just have to play the QB who gives them the best chance, who might actually do his homework and understands what might be happening. I don't know.
I understand that part of it, but Tim, are you a big fan of Tony Richardson because he took a tea break on 3rd down?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a huge fan of that. I've never heard of a quarterback doing that before. I think it's the first time it's come up. I still think he has a lot of tools, but is extremely raw and is not ready for prime time yet. So if you believe that he can be your quarterback of the future, I mean, this is a weird situation because people never come back from this, but maybe if you actually give him the time to sort of like develop some of the tools, he could be. I don't know.
It seems like he would, if they could, he would be in NFL Europe right now.
The G League of the NFL? This is why they should have this is why they should have a contract with the C. How good would Anthony Richardson be in the CFL?
I believe, I could be wrong here, but I think it's fairly obvious that this is something the CFL rejected, because there absolutely was an opportunity. I might be dumb enough to believe this, for the CFL to conform in both field size and rules and be the developmental league. And we'd rather be radically Canadian. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, but we'd rather be radically Canadian. That would be awesome to have Anthony Richardson and a bunch of these guys who need to develop up here. That'd be super cool. And have NFL affiliations.
Like Zach Wilson would also be probably pretty good in the CFL.
Yeah, they need the rep. There's nowhere to develop. And that is the risk you take when you draft these guys. Like Trey Lance is done. Right? He's done. Dude, 5 interceptions versus the Chargers in a preseason game this year.
If this was a more serious show, I would have done real research, but I don't want to do that. But Tim, you're the research tool on this. You remember everything. Can you remember a circumstance where the high pick was benched in year 1 or even year 2 and then came back and was awesome?
I can't. I mean, I really can't. The closest thing imaginable, and he wasn't benched, was that the Rams completely gave up on Jared Goff 100%, and he went elsewhere.
But he already got a contract extension.
This is it, right? Like that is straining.
So maybe it's like Tannehill or Baker, but is Baker even the case study? I don't think it is.
Baker wasn't benched. Baker was traded. Like who was actually benched? I can't think of a single instance.
Yeah, if it ever happens for Richardson, it almost feels like at this point it has to happen with a different team.
Pat, you've literally said this from the first time I heard you doing a football podcast, as someone who likes to, glaze over rookies and lollygag with them. You're just adamant. You just know. And sure, there's ones like Darnold, I get too excited about some ceiling plays, but for the most part, that's 98% right. You kind of just know pretty quick whether this is a guy worth investing time in or he isn't. And a few of them will slip through the cracks, because I thought Zach was worth investing time in, but it seems like you can just tell.
To look at this year's draft class, Jaden Daniels, he's got it. I think Caleb Williams has got it too. I don't think he's he doesn't have quite the protection that Jaden Daniels does, but you see them run an offense, they look like they run a real NFL offense once they completely got caught up to speed. Not to say that they're Hall of Fame quarterbacks or going to be top 10 quarterbacks, although Daniels is probably already there with the way that he's playing this season. That even there's certain guys that you see that, hey, the developmental process could take a little bit longer. Like when Lamar got thrown in that first year, taking over for Flacco of all people, like he didn't even have like a real offense that they could run, but they ran what they could with him, and he ran it well. And then people were like, well, was this guy just like super fast Tebow? And then they put a real offense in for him, and he was fine. You could see that from day one. Like Hurts was kind of the same way as well. Like when he took over midseason, they didn't have all the plays structured to him, and then they put him in, and he looks like the real deal. And like he's not a top 5 quarterback, but he's a top 10 quarterback, top 15 quarterback, whatever it might be. You'd want to have him on your team rather than having to go to 40-year-old Joe Flacco again, Tim.
I wish I could contribute more, but I agree with everything you just said.
And Bo Nix looks coachable, right? Like he, for all I like to yell at him, he looks like a guy who listens to a coach, knows what his number one read is, despite still making some dumb mistakes. He's still a rookie. Like he just seems like a moldable quarterback.
Yeah, and look, there was a bunch of drops in that Indianapolis game, but this does seem like him taking himself out during the game is just the weirdest thing. I can't remember that.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either. It's just bizarre.
It speaks to poor conditioning.
I guess.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, you have 380-pound offensive linemen who aren't tapping out of the game here.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing that a defensive tackle does.
You like go back to the huddle and you find your gas. Like that's really what.
Yeah, like you're
right?
the quarterback. I've never heard it before.
Byron Leftwich broke his leg and wouldn't get off the field. They had his teammates carry him down.
So the guy took himself off to the point of the locker room, and at some point, like that's can sometimes or all the time win out with the coaches in their quest to make a playoff spot. You can't have a kid if the kid is at least battling and willing to, put himself out there for you. Maybe the vets, there's wiggle room to like not be playing the quarterback who might give you the better chance to win. But there's probably no equity when you do what you did and you're the inferior quarterback. Like there's nowhere else for them to go, maybe, right? When you put it like that.
And listen, and maybe I'm looking at this completely the wrong way. I'm thinking about the future of the franchise, and
you're talking like simulating the franchise with a computer and like where they could be.
I'm trying to think about how, if I was the owner of the team, what I would want from my franchise, and maybe the needs are different based on the specific market, the specific owner, and I think that we talked about this last year when the Vikings traded for Dobbs. They were like, well, we got nothing else. Let's make this trade and try to make the playoffs. Like that revenue will be good for us. The fan bases will be excited about this. And maybe that's where Indianapolis is right now, that like, hey, you know what? We're not going to be Super Bowl contenders this year or next year. But that's how I would want to run my franchise. Be like, yeah, I don't care if we come like 5th last in the league. Who cares? I just want to get us on the track to be the best part. Like you did this for years with the Chargers. They were just like slightly above average. Who's that helping?
Yeah, and the Bills too, right? They never fully bottomed out. They'd always get the 2nd or 3rd tier quarterbacks in a draft. It's in a very annoying place to be. But there are a lot of owners, to the point you're trying to make, that they just want the team to be in it till Christmas. Like they don't want 3 home games to be where uncles don't want to take their nephews. Like, they want things to matter.
So what you're saying is that they should bring in Easton Stick to play quarterback.
No, then that'll make people not want to go. And Geoff. What
happened to Geoff?
I'm not sure, but that's a known, apparently reputational thing with the Vikings ownership. Is like, yes, they want to win a Super Bowl. Who doesn't want to win a Super Bowl? But apparently everyone around the Vikings knows, like the Wilf family, we want to have the games matter as long as possible. And that is an organizational philosophy. Some are just like, we want to tank and build it again, and we'll lose out on 6 home game revenues.
Tim, did you see that the Ravens got Dionte Johnson for essentially free?
I mean, I wish that I knew you could get receivers for free, because, I know teams that are throwing 3rd-round draft picks away.
Do you think the Jets will trade Adams?
No. I don't think you're allowed to trade. I don't know if you're
Why?
allowed to trade
What do you mean
somebody
allowed?
I think once you've traded for somebody, I'm not so sure you're allowed to turn around and trade them again quickly.
No, you
What do you
can.
think-
You just can't trade them back to the team that traded. Like Dionte Johnson wasn't allowed to be traded back to the Steelers. That was the only team that he couldn't be traded to.
I mean, I don't think they're going to make any trades. I mean, I think Dionte Johnson makes sense for Baltimore. It's a good addition.
They traded Dionte John. They swapped a 5th and a 6th round pick, which if you're Carolina and you're terrible, and you're Baltimore and you're really good, that could be 0 spots in the draft. It could be 1 spot if Carolina comes last and Baltimore wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be some compensatory swap. Not good. Apparently, Dionte hadn't been a very good boy, and some word got out about it.
Oh, really?
So,
what are you hearing? What
but
are Geoff's
there were some
sources?
better offers on the table a week ago. But apparently the guy doesn't like showing up on time to anything, and some people found out. And maybe there was one brother who made an offer a week ago, spoke about it in his family chat, and then also got shared the fact that he's finding out he's been a bit of a problem in some regards this year. And the other brother, the brother put him back on the shelf, and the other brother came in and bought him at a discount. So good for them. Good for the Ravens. I think it's a great move. I like Dionte Johnson. I really wish he was a Charger.
I don't know why you needed to play this cryptic thing where you're clearly talking about the Chargers.
Yeah, the brothers. There's coaches who are brothers.
Yeah, I got it. I was able to decrypt your very well-crafted sentence.
We could just start calling Geoff the Cipher.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the other one was the Chiefs picked up Uche from the Patriots. I was once told, Tim, that this guy was the future of getting to the quarterback for the Patriots. What happened?
Well, the Patriots won a game. They're like, oh no, we can't have that. So they're trading away some of their good play. I mean, another trade that makes sense to continue to bolster what is already a really strong Chiefs defense, which is going to have to play fantastically this season as we get into the late stretches against teams that can score a lot of points. I think it's a fine trade.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, the teams that score a lot of points. And yeah, they're bolstering an already good defense. But Geoff, don't we see the later that we get into the season and into the playoffs, that teams just start scoring fewer points overall, that the Chiefs will probably they'll seem like a high scoring team by the time that we get to January because everyone else isn't scoring 40, they're scoring 20?
They're magical. Like, they'll figure it out. It's so crazy that as they are in their figuring it out phase, they still win every game. Like some teams, we've seen teams have hot starts. I remember Arizona a couple years ago. People want to make Kyler Murray MVP, the Bills, yada, yada. Like, they peak so hard. The Dolphins, the Eagles. No, all that matters is peaking for Christmas, right? Being that snowball then. And they will still be that because they're not like peaking right now.
Do you think that was a secret ploy by Nick Sirianni, Tim, to make the Eagles seem like he's a moron and like they were actively trying to blow games early, so they didn't peak too early, and now they're on a bit of a run?
There's not a better move in the game, Pat, than having people underestimate you and think you're an idiot. Now, I'm not saying Sirianni did that. You did. But if he actually did, that's a smart move.
That's Galaxy Brain Sirianni, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did that with parenting. People think that I am care so little, or that I would be so bad with a newborn that when you do the littlest things, they think you've just done something amazing. I'm just here trying to be their dad, but if you want to give me extra credit for it, I'll take it.
Well, let's go back to last week and see how we did. Geoff, you won the week. Good week from you. 11-5 against the spread, moving to 54-62. I'm now in dead last after a 7-9 week. Tim, you were also 7-9. You remain in second place, 2 games behind the Coin, who was 6-10 and falls to 59-57. Still the only entity on this show above 500 picking all the games. And we were 2-1 with Superlocks. I improved to 7-1 on Superlocks this year. Geoff, you're above 500, battling back 4-3. And Tim, Dallas let you down on Sunday night. You're 2-6, and you lost your teaser.
Yeah, not great.
You lost the teaser because of Dallas as well, I think. I know, you had Baltimore on there too.
Yes, I did.
So tough week. Let's get to Thursday night where spirits are looking up for Houston at the New York Jets. The Jets, Tim, are favored by 2 in this game. Diggs is out for the season officially now as well. You feeling confident about the Jets?
Well, what does confident mean? Like,
that they'll cover the spread?
I do think they're going to win this game, and not because they're great. I just think they're a good matchup for the Texans, who play every game super close, don't look impressive week after week. They'll manage to win games, and that's critical. Down to one receiver. I mean, is Joe Mixon really going to run for 200 yards? Like, maybe, but I don't think so. I think the Jets are a good matchup for the Texans on a short week, playing it close. I think the Jets win it by 3. Don't think it matters. Like, it's not like we're going to get excited for anything. There's a reason that all the money has come in on the Jets. Like, they probably are going to win, and who cares? Like, it doesn't get us anything.
So you think that the Jets are going to win a field goal kicking competition?
Well, I mean, no. I suppose that's true. For some reason, Zerline continues to have a job, which baffles me to no end.
He has to be good friends with Aaron Rodgers. That is the only explanation why he's still on the team.
I don't know, but I think you would know that by them being buddy. So I don't understand it. I don't know why he still has a job. I don't know why Ulbrich still has a job. He doesn't seem to do any coaching. I don't understand some of the play calling. It's better than it was, but it's still not very good. Nobody tackles. Nobody seems to have. Everyone is ready for the year to be over. I'm ready for Aaron to say he's too sore in a couple of weeks, and Tyrod comes in to play a couple of games. I think that's coming down the pike. But in this game, in a very short week, I think it's a bad spot game for the Texans. I think the Jets will win.
Geoff, remind me never to bet on a Thursday night football game again. Just if I have a very strong take on Thursday night football, please talk me out of it.
Yeah.
I'm bad at it. I'm bad at Thursday night football. Like, really bad. Because I like the Jets here too for like no real reason.
Yeah, but Thursday night, it's almost, you almost need to bet like how the books are telling you to bet it. Like, the side that doesn't make sense on Thursday seems to be the right side. I have no idea what to make of this game. I assume Houston would be super popular, though.
I don't think that they are. Like, the line has shifted from the Texans were favored, and then by the time we got around to Sunday night, the Jets were favored by 1. Now they're favored by 2. Yes, obviously the Diggs news and him being out for the season affects that, but it's not like we thought he was playing in this game anyway.
I just want to make this about the Jets for a moment. And I'm sorry to Tim to have to do this, but has to be spoken about because it's one of the most embarrassing seasons we've encountered in a long time. And when the Chargers have an embarrassing season, the only person you'll hear yell about it is me. They're like an afterthought in the league. Tim doesn't have that luxury. And like, not the Cowboys, but in some ways, it's like when the Jets are really bad, that is also a constant story. But he is still not allowing himself to turn on Rodgers, which I don't understand because he's responsible for so much of the macro that we all know that we do not need to litigate here. It would just be a waste of time. It's that obvious. Tim is ignoring the micro. Okay, you idiots burn 3 timeouts in the first quarter of a game. I've never seen that before.
Oh, please, hold on. Are
Mike
you
Martz
saying
used to do this every week.
Is Mike Martz the shadow coach of the Jets? That was his absolute game plan wherever he was at. It's like these timeouts, they're weighing us down. We need to get rid of them as quickly as possible.
Can I just read this breakdown of the Jets and maybe he can, and this comes from, I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name from The Ringer. I would just do a disservice.
Try it. Is it Sheil Kapati?
Yeah.
Boom. Nailed
Good job, Pat. Before their third offensive play of the game, they couldn't get lined up correctly, had to waste a timeout. After that timeout, Rodgers threw an incompletion on 3rd down. Instead of going for it on 4th and 3 from the New England 40, they cowardly punted. Rodgers tried to draw the Patriots offside, failed. With 2:15 left in the first, the play clock was winding down and they had to use their second timeout. After that timeout, the center snapped the ball into his butt for a fumble. The Jets recovered. Before the next play, the clock was nearing 0 again, and they used their third timeout. That's 3 timeouts before the first quarters isn't over. This is not normal behavior. Not finished yet. They made another cowardly coaching decision in the third quarter when they kicked a field goal from 4th and 1 from the Patriots' 11. After their last touchdown, they decided to go for 2. Only they couldn't get the ball snapped in time and took a delay of game penalty. They're the single team in the NFL that doesn't understand you only get 40 seconds between plays. This is on the quarterback, who's the de facto coach.
I don't blame the quarterback for this. I blame the play calling not coming in on time. I don't blame it's the quarterback's fault for deciding whether to kick a field goal. It's the quarterback's fault for deciding, any number. No, it's not his fault. I mean, he's not playing as well as I would have hoped, but I don't blame him. What you've just described is the exact reason I stopped watching the games, Geoff, is because I don't need this in my life. It just makes me unhappy. The fact that I had to watch snaps of that game last week, I was like, I really wasn't missing anything. And I don't intend to watch this game either. If I don't have to, I'll watch a movie or something. It's Halloween. I really don't need to watch the Jets in a meaningless game. Wear black jerseys that are legacy black for a team who has no black in their legacy color scheme at all. Play like I can't defend it. I'm not trying to defend it, but I think to lay all that at the feet of Aaron Rodgers is just not fair.
They're dumber without Salah. They're worse. They are worse.
Well, they're not better.
They should have just changed the kicker a month ago, and they'd be fine right now. If all they did was switch the kicker and keep the head coach, the season would not be off the rails. Wouldn't be humming, but it would not be where it is. This owner is as dumb as we've seen.
How much does Aaron Rodgers hate Mason Crosby that he is not the Jets kicker?
I just don't understand why Legatron continues to kick. And Geoff makes the point that the season would be better if they had him. I think that's right, but at the same time, those made kicks would just be covering up what is a real problem, which is that they lost on Sunday because Jacoby Brissett went the length of the field with 3 minutes left to score a touchdown. Like, they lost to the Broncos, yes, because of a missed field goal at the end, but that game was 10-9. They couldn't score the whole game, despite the other team's quarterback being in the negatives in passing yards in the first half. Like, they lost to the Steelers when they were up by 9, not because they continued to turn the ball over and then they just kept getting beat on deep passes. Like, the reason they are not good is not just because of the kicker. It's because this team has significant flaws they can't fix.
If Houston loses this game, Geoff, it's not that they're in peril, because I guess if the Colts win, they'd only be a game back in the division, although I think Houston swept them. So it's a game and a half, as Tim would like to point out. Their season they're the classic underestimate potentially a good team right now. They were so hot as a preseason sleeper, all going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, and they just look like crap despite being 6-2. Like, no one really seems to think they're any good anymore.
That's why they're underdogs to a 2-6 team.
Yeah, they're a bit of a slog.
I fear this could be a lot like a few years ago. The Panthers and Cowboys played a game on Thanksgiving where the Panthers were like 9 or 10-0. And the Cowboys were like 3-6.
This was the biggest win of favored. This was the biggest win of Geoff and I's betting career, I think.
Like, there's a case to be made. This line is just completely wrong.
No.
And that the Texans are going to win this game 31-10. And like, why in God's name are you favoring a 2-6 Jets team? But
I mean, I am not a totals bettor, and I still don't care to really play this, especially in under. But the last few Thursdays, I feel I've exploded the number. Like, in the first half, the numbers have been taken out.
Yeah, but the Vikings-Rams only got there by a half point when all was said and done.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of other primetime games.
It felt like that based on like the first half. I think that there was like 40 points in the first quarter, the first half, and then there was like nothing in the second.
Okay, I didn't even need to invoke any other game to suggest I actually feel like this is going to be like a really sloggy Thursday night football game. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of guys get loose. I think it's going to be a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans come in with the second best defense in the league, so I don't know how well the Jets are going to move the ball. And as Tim pointed out, basically all season long, since week 1 when Jordan Mason gashed them on the ground, that Joe Mixon might have 200 rushing yards in this game. And
That's their path to victory.
And they have the better kicker.
Well, yeah, that doesn't say much.
So if it's going to be a low-scoring game like Geoff seems to think it's going to be, a sloggy game, a lot of times the team with the best field goal kicker is going to win those.
I don't even know what constitutes field goal range for the Jets.
Nowhere.
Like
He misses 25 yarders.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this guy can miss anything right now. In a world where missing is rarer than it's ever been from all distances, especially the longer ones. I don't know. It was kind of sad. Like seeing Tim on Saturday night. I think Garion said it. Like, it's not even funny. There wasn't like humor in it. Like legitimate sadness, and felt bad for the guy.
You're getting credit, Tim, for being sad.
I'm not asking for credit. I'm expressing the way I feel.
All right. Well,
which is that like I had high hopes, and those hopes have all been dashed.
I'll take the Jets -2, Geoff. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm taking the Jets.
That's a round of Jets for all 4 of us on Thursday Night Football. Let's move to Sunday. And you know what? You get the prime spot on the spread pick show, Geoff. Chargers at Cleveland. Cleveland's a 2-point dog in this game. When I think this is the one I was off the most on when I guessed the spread, Tim. I thought that the Chargers or the Browns would be favored in this game, coming off a win against the Ravens at home. The defense looked a little bit better. Obviously, the offense looked a little bit better, and the Chargers are just actively trying to keep teams in games, it feels like. Like, they tried to keep the Saints in that game, just the Saints are too terrible to actually stay in it.
The only thing the Saints can do is try to pull the leg of the quarterback out of its socket while he's laying on the ground.
Maybe they're being ghost coached by Greg Williams now.
I can just, having now watched Geoff watch football, I can just see the overreaction now.
Oh, yeah. That was I got real hot twice, probably as hot as I've gotten in the whole season. One was that Herbert run, like that Rose Bowl shit. I could have called the police for assault on myself. Like, I beat the shit out of myself. I have a mark like here to still remind me of that Herbert run. It still hurts that I rub it. And when that guy did that shit to Herbert's leg, like, that's what makes me lose my mind. So that was twice. Listen, this is like a Jim Harbaugh team in year 1 of the program running a Greg Roman offense. It's not going to look pretty a lot of the times. It's going to look in some ways like it has looked. They have struggled up until a certain point last week to score in the red zone to finish drives. It's been frustrating because Herbert's been playing great. But this game, like, I was on the Browns last week with those points. But Tim, you know how I think. And this is low-hanging fruit. I'm cheering hard for the Browns to win that game because I am just a square. Big, emotional comeback, home, underdog, rival, win last second. Boom, 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 boom. That sets up perfectly for the team walking into the barn next week. Jameis amazing. He'll move the ball, but he'll make his mistakes. Who doesn't make mistakes, Pat? You know who doesn't? Justin Herbert. Like, I can't even remember the last interception-worthy pass.
Okay, you know what? Maybe Justin Herbert should try to make a few of those interception passes so they don't have to settle for field goals every single drive.
Oh, he's moving the ball downfield the last few weeks as good as anyone.
That's great. He's the new Lamar Miller. Just use him between the 20s and then bring someone else in.
No, I mean, listen, we've got to settle down there, buddy. Like I said, it's not going to look pretty. And they don't have like proven guys, and scoring in the red zone is difficult. And it's going to have to get better for the team to have a chance. But the Browns will play our game.
Oh, see, I don't think so. Like, what I think we're going to see more of the Browns like we saw towards the end of last season, where I think that starting Watson at quarterback, like we talked about the Jets defense coming into the year. Clearly, it's not that they're fraudulent, that they just weren't as good. Defenses have a tougher time holding year over year. That's far more variant than an offense, which tends to be a bit more sticky. And the Browns defense is clearly not the same as last year either, but it just feels like they actually played with a bit of vigor last week for the first time all year. That maybe that, they were kind of lollygagging a little bit.
Maybe.
Or
Jameis is the man.
There was a lot of pent up emotion that sort of like expressed itself in that game and in that moment, but like that's hard to recapture over and over again.
I love Jameis.
I guess my point here would be the Chargers by 2. I find strange. That I think that these teams are pretty close, and then I'm just going to take the home team. I'm going to take Cleveland +2. If it was -2, I'd probably take the Chargers. If it was the other way around and the spread was flipped 4 points, I'd probably take the Chargers. But this just feels like a close game because the way that the Chargers play offense is designed to end up in close games.
Yeah, and at least once or twice a game, they take that football and they keep it a long fucking time. 10 minutes. I hope it ends up in a touchdown like it did last week. It's kind of annoying when it ends up in a field goal. But yeah, it'll be close. The way people are talking about this spread just feels exactly like how people talked about the Denver Chargers spread. This could be a super lock for me.
Oh,
Chargers
back to back.
Chargers super lock last week turned out well for you. My silver pick.
I've gotten some nice offers from some lovely listeners of the show to go to this game. How do I put it, Pat?
Did you watch that Cleveland tourism video and that just said, yeah, no thanks?
Here's the place where there used to be industry. This train is carrying jobs out of Cleveland.
At 40 years old, I've done enough NFL games in my life to partly never want to do one again.
Well, they're not fun.
They're not and it's just a lot. It would take me so many days to recover because I don't do anything at a 0. Or half, kind of like an all or nothing. And yeah, I just don't have it in me. I'm a poos moose, but
Oh, I see. But when I say I don't like traveling to go to things,
no, I want to travel.
I'm a terrible person. But when you don't feel like traveling,
hold on a
it's
second.
Totally accepted because you're 40 and you've been through it all.
Jeff just said he didn't want to. Jeff just said he didn't want to go to the NFL game.
I just don't want to travel to an NFL game. Send me something offer me something that isn't a foot. I'd want to be able to watch the Charger game wherever I go, but I'd love someone to offer me a vacation to somewhere random and exotic. I'm just choosing to not want to travel to Cleveland for an NFL game, Tim. Do not spin that into you literally wanting to go nowhere. Don't. That's not fair.
I think they're just gradients on the same line.
I don't think that's true.
Chargers or Browns, Tim?
I am going to take the Chargers because the Browns just, like Geoff said, exhausted themselves in a big rivalry game. Same logic that led me to take the Rams last week leads me to take the Chargers this week.
There's nothing I dislike more now, Geoff, than the teams that play Detroit lose the next week. The most coincidental thing of all time is now just happening, and people truly believe this now is a thing.
Yeah, for sure. The guy who's about that in my group chat is the guy the rest of us on the side joke we're fading. Yeah. So when that guy tweets messages at 20-1 on Sunday morning that he doesn't know how the whole world isn't betting everything they have on the Packers, you take the Jags plus the points and weasel out of cover. And he's all about that spread. I don't know. I think there's some, I don't want to say it's meaningless. I do think there are some teams that play so physical that it does take its toll, but I don't know that the Lions are that team. So that's where I am on.
Thank you for just eviscerating my whole Titans Patriots analysis that we were going to have. So I guess I have to come up with something on the fly now.
Well, I don't understand.
I'm jumped because the Titans played the Lions last week. Therefore, the reason to take the Patriots would be that's why. No,
I will blindly. Who do we? Oh, it's the Titans.
It's the Titans who play the Patriots, so they're favored.
I will take the Titans, even though we're not even there.
Yeah, I think I will take the Titans too, just to fade it now.
I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about the Chargers.
Oh, I
but
had a Chargers question for you. Why has J.K. Dobbins been so bad the moment Gus Edwards went on IR?
Okay, so that's been an issue, Pat, because I think about that. Because I role play it in my head. They're not running effectively. I think
the last time that you and I role played with Chargers dolls, you got very upset.
The last 3 games, there's been an incredible spike in Herbert usage. And the stats show he's actually playing great. But the running game hasn't been there. And that's really frustrating. And I don't know why. And it was a bit concerning that they couldn't just get those, the way you saw Denver just maul them for 3 yards. And I know they were a lot healthier and had extra rest. Nah. And even though they won by a lot, I don't think you guys are wrong. I don't want to I didn't even fight you on that they tried to lose it, or maybe they could have lost it, because I was awkwardly nervous for the entire game until it got, I don't know. Really
it was too much. And then you saw what New Orleans was doing on the other side. I was like, all right. They had to bring Hainzer into the game to replace Rattler. That was a bad sign for their offense.
But for playing a bad team who could do nothing, and you know me, I'm kind of broken. I always think we're going to lose. But I was just really wasn't enjoying myself because I thought we were going to lose for way too long because they were playing not fully there. I don't know. They gave away a whole quarter.
All right, well, you guys got the Chargers. The Coin and I have the Browns. Want to remind everyone that code Mayo at Underdog right now will get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Tim, I missed out on just one pick per entry. I just didn't put the right picks together. So I missed out on the 10 grand, missed out on the 2,700, and I missed out on the big one on Monday night just by one guy. That's how they get you, of course, but it's a lot of fun, and you should do it with a free pick to make sure that doesn't happen to you at Underdog right now. If you use code Mayo, you get a Jalen Hurts free pick for Sunday, and even in the interim, there's a whole bunch of NBA free picks you can just throw on. Even if you only want to play NFL entries, you can use the free picks from the NBA and cross-pollinate with that as well and double the odds on any of your entries. So I suggest you go do that right now. Help out the great sponsor of our show, Underdog. Download the app and use code Mayo and go play an entry with that free pick. Next game, Dallas at Atlanta. Atlanta is a 2.5-point favorite at home, commanding lead in the division. Cowboys are reeling after Sunday night. Tim, you love both these teams. I don't know where the Cowboys' love all of a sudden has come from, but you've really started backing them lately.
Well, I have been, but last Sunday was sort of a death knell for me because that relatively mediocre San Francisco team, they should have won that game. They didn't, and they had a chance to win it at the end, and they couldn't get it done. They deserved to lose. I'm going to take the Falcons here. No question in my mind. Dallas is reeling a little bit in a game they should have had, and Atlanta is, outside of that one poor game against Seattle recently, Atlanta's been playing pretty good. They've been scoring. They've been exciting, and I just don't think Dallas can keep up with them. If Atlanta gets to 30, Dallas can't get to 31. So I like the Falcons here.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this. I think just we have in our mind, Geoff, Atlanta's offense and what they've done. They've really just put up points against the NFC South and no one else really.
Yeah, kind of just if they could play Tampa every single week. I like Atlanta, but I feel like I got to zig off them this week. They've been kind to me. I'm just blindly playing Dallas for pick'em game purposes.
So let's see.
I have no feeling here. I do think Atlanta's probably overrated, but I've got no feeling, and I'm not betting on Dallas, but I'll pick them.
In the games where they've played divisional rivals, they've put up 26, 36, 38, and 31. In non-division games, they've put up 17, 22, 10, and 14, Tim.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And Dallas certainly is not one of those teams, so that does speak to a problem. But at the same time, I just don't have any confidence in Dallas right now. I just can't trust them, and I certainly don't trust them in what is basically a coin flip. If it's 2.5, I got to take the Falcons.
That's got to be the highest total of the week, right?
Is it?
2 games in, I've mentioned 2 totals.
You love totals. You're a big totals bet.
Not a total. You know what? And I'll
What?
say this because I didn't talk total in the Charger game. Pizzola told me I think he really likes the under. I mean the over. And the Chargers haven't played to a single over all year. But I don't know. He's got this whole thing about injuries on defense, which I assume is important. But yeah, I can't imagine there's a total higher than this.
There is not. The next closest total in week number 9 is Bills and Miami at 50. Which seems high, actually. I kind of like the under in that. All right, so I'm going to take Dallas as well. Flip a coin. The coin took Atlanta. I'll go the other side. I'll take Dallas. I have no real strong opinions on this game. Do you think that either of these, does Dallas have a chance to turn this around, Tim, do you think? Or is their defense just not good enough to hold them in it, and their offense is essentially throwing to one guy?
I mean, you said it. The offense, Dallas's problem, and I have to really reconsider my theories as to what constitutes something not mattering. Dallas's complete lack of any semblance of a running back is killing them.
Yeah, but
if the Cowboys could turn around and hand it to just a league average running back, I believe that would take a lot of the pressure off of Prescott, off of having to run everything through Lamb, and this team would be a heck of a lot more successful.
I disagree. Because it's not about the running back, it's about their terrible offensive line. Like a really good running back, I don't think is going to make that big of a difference in Dallas right now with how this offense and this line especially is currently constituted. If you had a good offensive line, you could run Dowdle and Zeke and it wouldn't really matter. They'd be able to gain enough yards to make it passable. I think when we think about these situations and people say that running backs don't matter, there's not 100% truth to that. Like someone like Barkley is obviously enhancing the Eagles' offense because he's so good. They also have an incredible offensive line. And we just saw on Monday night, Tyrone Tracy looked really good behind a kind of crappy Giants offensive line. So I don't think it's as much about talent. Talent will enhance any of these situations. But if you have a disastrous O-line to begin with and you generate no run blocking pressure, you're never going to be able to run the ball. That's the problem.
That's a fair point. But if you don't think if you put in, I don't know, like Jordan Mason on this team, that would make no material difference in the way that offense runs?
Not really. I think if you took Jordan Mason away from Kyle Shanahan, that he wouldn't be very good.
I'm just trying to think of an average, run of the mill running back.
Are we sure that Dowdle's not an average run of the mill running back?
I don't think so. At least I haven't seen anything to make me believe that.
If you put Chuba Hubbard on this team, who does seem like a very average running back, maybe even a little bit above average. He's been pretty good with Carolina. You think he would be just making this offense go?
I don't know if he makes it go. I just feel like when you have no opportunity to turn around and hand the ball to anybody, you get Dalvin Cook and you have last Sunday night, you had Dalvin Cook and you had Zeke. You just no chance.
Okay,
they don't have to worry about your running game. They can play they can play in pass coverage very comfortably, knowing that they have, I don't know.
You might be right. Running the old-timers game out in the backfield is probably not the best strategy and hurting your running game. I just don't see who you could put back there and be like, oh, problem solved. We're good at running the ball now.
Well, I don't think it's problem solved. I don't think you could be good at running. But if you just had somebody who was just half decent, you could at least take some of the pressure off Prescott. I don't know. That's what I think.
I mean, you've kind of been through this, Geoff. Think about Eckler and the way that he was used in that offense when you guys had him and how he's basically on a good running team in Washington. He can't do anything now.
Yeah, I actually think Dowdle is fine. I think he's mid. So that's how I would compare that. But no, I don't know that running back would help, but Dallas got a lot of problems.
I think
the defense, Tim's right. The defenses don't have to play them honest when there's no true speed or game breakers at the position.
You know what could help their offense, Tim? If Dak actually ran anymore.
Absolutely. You're right. He doesn't run anymore. That is a problem.
But I don't think they're toast, and I do think it's salvageable. They're one win from 500, and we'll get to the end of the season, and there'll be some blah teams competing for that final wildcard spot in both conferences. The NFC's not excluded.
Yes, I mean, I'll go with the team that, quote-unquote, needs it more, which I would consider to be Dallas in the situation with the lead that Atlanta has built, and I'm getting 2.5 points in a game that I cap pretty close anyway. So, yeah, I'll go with Dallas. For almost about 2 decades, the Irons were really the only good part of my golf game, unless you include 300-yard drives, which meant hitting it about 150 yards straight and 150 yards with slice into the woods to the right. So I finally went and got lessons, straightened out my swing, and all of a sudden I could drive the ball pretty decently, pretty straight. And then my irons just kind of went wayward with the new compression that I was getting onto the ball. So it was time for me to make a change with my irons. So when I heard about the new PXG Black Ops irons and how they can dramatically improve my game, I had to give them a try. Booked a fitting with the PXG location, brought in my current irons, and took the PXG challenge. The staff was amazing. We worked on my ball flight through TrackMan in order to find the perfect irons and the perfect length and the perfect loft for what my game demands these days. And the new Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit, they maximize performance, and they're fun. Oh, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That is a great price for a great golf iron. So take the PXG Irons Challenge. It's a ton of fun, and if PXG's new Black Ops irons don't outperform your current irons by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion, that means better accuracy, during your fitting, you'll get a $250 MasterCards reward card. Hurry, this offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at pxg.com. That's pxg.com. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening? A new language? Or, for me personally, how to finally beat your best friend in golf? Not Cust, but, my other friends. I want to beat them at golf. I can beat Cust, no problem. Therapy can help reconnect you with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come, honestly, at any age. It's helpful learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries, and it empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major traumas. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All the best things that you need. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/PatMayo today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. Denver and Baltimore, this line has risen. He has risen, according to the line, to 9.5 for the Baltimore Ravens after getting Dionte Johnson. No idea whether or not he's going to play this week. Geoff, am I insane for loving the Broncos here? This has the potential to go really bad betting on the Broncos, but I really think this defense can limit what the Ravens do offensively.
I mean, I would like to see the Broncos get brought back to reality after playing like some really shitty teams, right? Carolina, New Orleans. I don't know what their baseline is, and I could argue out of that they're a little overrated.
I would tend to agree that they're probably a little bit overrated, but Tim, this is kind of the Bears argument that I had been making for a few weeks. That, they beat up on 3 pretty crappy teams. How good are they? And then they go to a team that I consider to be pretty good in Washington, albeit we didn't know if their starter was playing or not, but they were basically a coin flip in that game. And that is how it came down to it. But Denver's getting none of that respect whatsoever. And let's not forget the Ravens are 5-3. It's not like they're 8-0.
Feel like this is we don't want you teasing Baltimore spread.
Yeah.
And so as such, I believe there's value on the Broncos. This game should be -7 for Baltimore, not 9.5. I think there's 2.5 points of value on the Broncos here. And ergo, I will take it.
See, I'm very, very rarely in lockstep with Tim about any sort of spread. I see it exactly the same way.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of points, and the Broncos seem to have a style that can probably keep it tight. Ravens have injuries.
And the Ravens defense is bad. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I would love to see the Broncos lose by 30, but I will take these points. I feel like trying to be the responsible right side of a gambling, these are the points that you should take. The Ravens can easily let this game off the hook. And you scare me, Pat, because I think this game could be close. And you and Jake were talking. And it's like, if you think it could be close, Well, we all know the NFL gets stupid, and if the game's gonna be close, you're one stupid play from that actual underdog winning. I hope that doesn't happen, but I do think it could be close.
Hey, look, if Denver beats Baltimore and the Chargers beat Cleveland, the Chargers move ahead of Baltimore. Baltimore would be out of the playoffs at that point.
If the Broncos beat Baltimore, I will be more upset than like the Chargers win and the Broncos win. I will be more rattled by the Broncos winning. Like that, you have that on me, Bronco fan. Like I will not, because that the Ravens defense is bad. It hasn't, there's just injuries and they're far from perfect. But if they're good enough to go into Baltimore and win, then like I just gotta be officially like on notice. Okay, on notice.
Well, it's a really weird construct for a Ravens team because they have the best offense in the league right now. They're rated number 1. Their defense is slightly below average, and they have like a bottom 5 special teams. Has that ever happened in the Harbaugh era?
That's weird.
Here's the issue. When you say that you want the Ravens to win by 35, that's completely on the table because if the Ravens jump up 14-0, they probably do win by 35. It's if the Broncos can make it close early, I think it stays close.
Great point. That seems pretty accurate. And I'll also acknowledge, because I took shots at who the Broncos have beaten, the Chargers have played those two teams as well and beaten them. And that's just, part of the schedule. And the Chargers have beaten nobody. The Chargers haven't beaten a quarterback who's even half decent. So I can't knock the Broncos for beating up on the bad teams. But if they're 6-3, like Sean Payton being like coach of the year, Waters.
Oh God.
No, like
could this year not go any worse?
No, but am I wrong? Like he's now.
You aren't wrong, but like there are feel-good stories out there where those coaches just have much better. Like Dan Quinn is such a leader in the clubhouse for this, right?
Well, I think that. I guess now that KOC has lost 2 games in a row, that maybe he's out of that chair. But I do think that it all depends on where the other awards do go.
Dan Quinn is probably the favorite.
I just said that.
That's what Tim just said.
Oh, I
Thank
thought
you
you
for
said
listening.
No.
He is the favorite, but
I thought you said Dan Campbell. I'm sorry.
KOC, Peyton, and Jim Harbaugh are close behind.
Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah, he's plus. Well, this
Chargers are going to go not.
This Chargers team was hot trash last year, and he's going to take the team to where maybe they win 9 or 10 games, and maybe they play.
Yeah, but that's not coach of the year. Someone's
well, it all depends too because it does seem to be like some sort of split between the the over expectation coach who does really well. But I do think, how much of this are we really attributing to Dan Quinn? And like, if Jaden Daniels is in the the MVP race, he'll win Rookie of the Year. He'll be in competition for Offensive Player and MVP if all things go well for Washington. That maybe all the credit just goes towards him, not so much Dan Quinn. I could see that if
I'm voting Mike Tomlin. If I had a vote, I'm voting Mike Tomlin.
Fair.
He's been the best coach in the NFL this year.
I have a sleeper for you, Geoff. You ready for this? And it does work to Tim's anti-theory of just constantly ragging on this guy about how bad of a coach he is. But if the Bills go like 14-3 or 13-4, it might just be, hey, Sean McDermott's done a really good job for 6 years having this Bills team good. They weren't expected to be this good. They were. Let's give it to them.
Wouldn't that be great if he won it and then got to accept the award 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the Chargers go to the Ralph and Wildcard Weekend and beat them 14-6? Like, what a wonderful spot that would be. Yeah, I think actually your team is like a team you could make in a laboratory that could beat Buffalo, that is meant to beat a Buffalo team.
Pat, the problem with that is after the show last week, like I said I was going to do, I bet Josh Allen to win MVP, which I think would take away from McDermott winning that. Because I believe obviously Lamar could run away with it, but Josh Allen's going to win a tie versus anybody, and you'll probably have to beat Josh Allen decisively to win 3 MVP. I don't know. I'm just trying to get in the head. I believe that for all sports.
And he's the betting favorite now too, Josh Allen.
Co-favorite.
Yeah, good.
Co-favorite.
And I know it flips a lot. And like you
Jackson
said, it's all just about playing around prime time on Christmas, and you just play your ass off, crushing the fantasy playoffs. You can go win MVP. I'll make the Dan Quinn defense though, because you're right about Jaden. Who the hell saw that? this defense is a lot better. That, like, I don't know whether it actually bears out in statistics, but in terms of what they allow in points, seems like these guys hang. And they're much better than we thought, which has made the Commanders a far more complete football team. And when you first said Dan Quinn, I thought you were saying Dan Campbell. I'm sorry.
Who do you think the offensive player of the year should be right now?
Right now? I mean,
I see who the odds bet. I just clicked on to see what the odds were, and I was like, I wouldn't have thought him, and it's not probably where I would have gone. But what do you think should be the offensive player of the year right now?
okay,
Now I want to guess who it is.
I don't know what the odds are. Is it Derrick Henry?
Yes, and he's like plus 120. Like he's got relatively short odds for an award that
Is decided
know it's
2
a
months from
strange-
now.
Yeah, it's 2 months from now, and it's a strange year, and this usually doesn't go to a quarterback. But I kind of feel like Jaden Daniels could win this award.
Yeah, for sure.
He could win this and Rookie of the Year and not win MVP because
Yeah.
it could go to somebody else.
That's how, this is just kind of like how the league might work. I agree. That's
But,
how
like,
they
Henry,
might give that up.
Barkley, Jefferson, and Chase are the 4 favorites. I'm like, gee, I don't know that I would have any of those 4 as my top offensive player this year. That's interesting.
Well, everyone gets hurt, so there might be no one left by the end of the year. You just give it to whoever played the 17 games. But a guy who has been hurt, and maybe this will hurt him too much in the overall stats, but go take a look at Joe Mixon's numbers. He's been awesome this year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to Joe Mixon anything.
Maybe, what if the Houston just does what they've been doing and like they're 14 and 3?
No, you don't want to give Joe Mixon anything.
No one really seems to remember that anymore. Gentleman Joe.
Okay.
Although that one was on camera, wasn't it? At the fast food place?
Something like that. I don't remember all the ins and outs of it.
Yeah. All right, so rounded Denver. So we got a rounded Jets, rounded Denver. We're picking all the good teams this week, Geoff.
I'm bad at this anyway. Don't listen to me.
Okay, I'm in last, so don't listen to me. Listen to Tim. He's in first. Listen to the coin. And the coin also picked Denver. 2 games above 500 for the year. But I really do like Denver here.
There's no way this hits 10 in real life, right?
It might. It went from 9 to 9.5 from this morning to this afternoon. Like, who really wants...
It's down to 9 again.
Look, you can look at this. It's almost like what Pizzola said and he bet those alt lines. And I actually said it last week with Pizzola that, like, I don't really like the Eagles, but if the Eagles beat Cincinnati, we've seen Cincinnati lay enough dumps on the field that you might as well just like alt line the Eagles because they win. They could blow them out. That's what you'd do with Baltimore here, wouldn't it? Like minus 20 or something.
Old umps.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
Do people know that?
No, people don't know about.
They don't know the tragic tales of Sadie Dumpington.
They do not know of an offshoot Homestar Runner cartoon from 17 years ago that wasn't even a strong bad email. No, they do not know that.
Oh, that's funny.
I'd encourage them to go look up Sadie Dumpington. It's kind of like you. You're like kind of like Sadie Dumpington.
No, everywhere Sadie goes, tragedy ensues.
Sounds like a guy I know.
Vegas at the Bengals. Tim, you like to use the word hinge game. Is this a hinge game for the Bengals?
Yes.
Like they have to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a must win. If they don't win, they actually would be smart to think about making some trades and being a seller. This is a must win. On such a must win that I don't know why we're even doing this, but the Bengals are the first part of a 6-point tease. It's everything here. The Raiders are so bad. Inept. They got Dallas has no running backs and the Raiders have no quarterbacks. And like when you don't have a player that you can rely on, I don't know. I can't see, this game's going to end 27-20 and the Raiders will cover great and that'll annoy me, but at least I'll get the tease part of it. I'm going to take the Bengals against the number, and I'm certainly going to tease them down. This is their last stand. If they lose, their season is like the Jets, completely and utterly cooked.
Not sure if T. Higgins is going to play as of right now, Jeff, but they're 0-3 without him, and their offenses look bad without him.
And they play Thursday versus Baltimore following this, so I mean they're in no position to rest anybody because they don't have many losses left to give. But it is worth noting the Raiders seem like sneaky able to keep it close, but I don't want to trust them. But it's like, do I blindly just back both of these AFC West big underdogs on the road this week in the morning slate, that might just be the move because it seems like too many points.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of points. Let's see. Because they had that turnover that they didn't turn into points against the Chiefs. But shout out to Cam. He got them all fired up to cover that number against the Chiefs, and they did. But it's just weird looking at some of these games. Like even the Rams game, we were watching that in real time, Tim. Like the Rams had to actively be so crappy to keep them in that game. It's nothing that the Raiders did to keep themselves in the game. The Rams just couldn't do anything anymore at a certain point.
Absolutely.
Maybe you'd say it's the Jets, but there might not be a team in the league per point spread that's being graded on reputation more than the Bengals.
The Niners.
Because they don't do anything, Pat. No, the Niners move the ball. The Niners move the ball. These guys, they can't run. They don't block. They don't put pressure on opposing QBs. They don't stop the run. They don't stop the pass. Like outside of the fun receivers that you want to play in fantasy football, and one of them's hurt, this team doesn't do anything right.
I'll still take Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati, -7.5.
Maybe I have to also.
You don't have to. Now, you do know if you take Cincinnati, then it's going to be Vegas that wins outright and Denver loses by 1 million.
Okay. You're right. I'll take that risk, though, then. I'm taking Cincinnati. I don't actually, in good conscience, would want to lay these points with the Raiders. But I know this sounds stupid. They just seem like Minshew to Jacoby Myers seems like peak backdoor point spreads for a lot of the second half of the season.
The ball moved better last week with Myers back. So that's something for Minshew to build on. They only lost by 7. That was nice. Next game, Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 6 at sportsbooks right now. This is the second highest total. I love the Bills -6, Tim.
I love the Dolphins. They make me my super lock.
Really?
The world is going to be on Buffalo here. The world knows that the Bills have got the division locked up. They've been playing good football. The Dolphins, got Tua back, could not beat Arizona at home. Totally, the entire world is going to love Buffalo. It makes total sense to be on the Bills. They absolutely outclassed the Dolphins well before Tua got hurt in their first matchup. And this is all setting up for the Dolphins to just have a really good game in a spot like the Bengals. Their season is really completely on the line here at 2-5. They've got to win. And the Bills don't need the game. The Bills are fine. The Bills have got the division locked up. They're going to cruise to January. Their next must-win will be their first playoff game, probably. So I just think the Bills are not going to be as, not that no one's ever not up for a game. That's the wrong way to put it. But I am more afraid of Buffalo in a night game than I am at home, than I am during a 2:00 game where the Dolphins have a lot at stake. The Bills have very little at stake. And it's a 6-point spread. We're teasing the Dolphins down to up to 12 because I love them here. I think the Dolphins have a really, really good chance to win here. An in-division game with their, desperation breeding brilliance, as Jeffrey likes to say. This has got to be the Dolphins have got to be the right side here. And I'm going to take them.
Eventually, we've all wanted to give, and
they have no pass. Buffalo has no pass defense. One thing the Dolphins should be able to do.
You say that, but the Bills' pass defense has been very good this year. Like
McDaniel,
you just don't
Tua,
think that they're
should.
good instead of seeing them play, and they've been pretty good.
The Dolphins should be able to bombs away on turf, outdoors, and it's not going to be the weather's not going to be bad. They should be able to bombs away against the Bills secondary, and I anticipate them doing so. So even though, anyway, so I think the Dolphins are going to keep their season alive, and Buffalo's got nothing to worry about.
Well, Buffalo does have a lot to worry about because, as you pointed out, they've lost to Houston and Baltimore, so they actually do need to win these games if they want any chance to potentially get a bye.
They're not going to get the bye.
Why wouldn't
That's
they?
okay.
I mean, the Chiefs aren't going undefeated.
I think there are very, very few Bills fans who believe, in any sincerity, that this team is going to get the bye. What they want is that this team is good and ready to roll. That that they're healthy and ready to go come January. They're going to be a 3 seed, maybe a 4 seed. 2 seed be tough because of the tiebreak losses. Maybe they could get that far, but they're fine. They got nothing to worry about. Miami is desperate, and I think they're going to win.
Jeff, the Miami played the 29th ranked pass defense a week ago in Arizona. Buffalo ranks 9th in football against the pass right now.
Other than the Jets, that might have been the worst loss of the weekend. I'm trying to think. Would we say there was a worse loss?
I mean, I guess Chicago technically.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
but like they didn't deserve to really win that game either. So
And credit, like just had a moment thinking about my boy Paul. He's not playing till 4 o'clock last week, which is rare for the Bills and their fans. And he gets to watch the two worst losses of the week happen inside of his division in that morning slate. Well, it's just so pathetic. Here's a problem with Miami. They got a lot of injuries on defense. And guys aren't coming back. Right? Like Chubb and Phillips, and now Zach Seiler,
And
who's
Javon
really good.
Javon Holland got banged up again. He broke his hand, came back, and he got hurt again last week. I think it was a groin or a hamstring.
Seiler broke an orbital bone in practice, which people are saying is really hard to do unless there was a fight. So,
as someone who has broken as someone who has broken an orbital bone because of a punch to the face, I can confirm that.
Yes, exactly.
Does he play for the Seahawks? Is that how it happened?
No, he didn't play last week.
Just the Seahawks are teammates that fight. So.
Oh, sure. And that's a big injury. I don't know where they're going to stop the Bills. Sure, Tim is right. Like the Dolphins could move the football. They could score some points. Remember before Tua went to sleep, he looked horrible. That going to sleep got actually to be cover for how horrible he looked.
You don't listen to me when I talk, do you? Because I said this. This is the second time today you've repited something I've said.
Yes, but I am saying it in my case. Well, I am picking the different side here. You picked the Dolphins making this case. I am picking the Bills. Mike McDaniel I don't know that he could get outcoached as often as he gets outcoached.
Well, he's not that good. He's not that good of a coach. We've established that. He didn't have a hat on at all last Wednesday, Geoff. I noticed. So, like, our antagonisms maybe have worked their way some way.
No, and I know I don't like tweet about it lots, but he still does not wear team. He still wears. He still goes to that podium midweek. Not representing his franchise.
No, you're right. He doesn't, but he didn't have a hat on at all Wednesday. I noticed.
Which I think is a better representation of a franchise than wearing a hat, because we know that only bald people wear hats. So you want to have a nice head of hair out there. That is positive representation.
But he is wearing a hat. He's just not wearing a team issued hat. Which
no. As Tim is saying, he just wasn't wearing a hat at all.
This week he wasn't. At least on Wednesday.
Maybe, sure. I didn't see. They played at 4 o'clock, so I didn't really see much of that. I was watching the worst Chargers game, or at least like zoned in on it, and the Bears game seemed really boring. I'm taking the Bills. Yeah, Tua's the Dolphins, Bills. That's like his ghost team. Give me the Bills. They'll cover the sucker.
You're gonna say we didn't talk about it being Halloween for the Jets and Ghost Tim. Do you think they'll come back this week? They'll haunt Aaron Rodgers?
Maybe they'll haunt the Texans.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know how to make of that. I don't like the fact that they're playing on Halloween night. I don't like that they have to play Why do the Jets have to play 2 Thursday games this year?
I'm sorry. I'm not the person who is sitting here. Oh, the Jets are so good. You can't keep them off prime time. Everyone wants to see them. Now you're complaining that they're on prime time too much.
No, what's going to happen is they're going to win this week, be 2-0 this year on Thursdays, and I'm going to complain they're not playing more on Thursdays because they're the Thursday super team. It's frustrating to have to play 2 Thursday games in a row, though. Anyway.
What is Tua's career against Buffalo? Geoff?
It can't be great.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, he lost last year to them at the end of the season. He lost to them in the snow game. He lost to them at the start of this year. He has lots of losses. But, I mean, the Dolphins lose to any team with a winning record, so that shouldn't be a surprise.
Let's see. Tua all-time record against the Bills. That's not helping me. That's just showing his stats. You need to see the scores of the games.
I'll have it here. He's 1-7.
1-7 against the Bills.
Not great.
7 TDs, 10 picks. Yeah, McDermott's got this guy.
I'm with you. New England.
And they're desperate. They're desperate. This is a vet. Outside of the Jets, I know this could feel like a pile-on, Pat, but like big picture NFL, looking next year's salary, looking at roster makeups, they're in a really grim place. That was a veteran team that was trying to win right now. There are a lot of just veterans with veteran contracts, big ones on that team.
They're sort of like the Wish.com LA Rams.
I mean, maybe
But the Rams are but the difference is the Rams actually made it happen. Like the Rams.
No, I'm,
get,
I'm
like,
talking
10
about.
years of grace.
I'm talking about the Rams like right now, as they're currently constructed. Like
Oh,
they're living off these guys. I mean, I guess they drafted Puka and moved him into the system, but Kyron's been good. But you have these old guys that are sort of the linchpin of your team, and we saw when stuff happens to those guys, they don't really have much to back it up. But the Dolphins are just the worst version of that.
Yeah, there's only
Hill
this,
seems to be kind of washed, and they don't use Waddle enough.
only the Saints, and which we know like perpetually backloaded everything forever, like they're still screwed. Only the Saints and the Browns are in worse cap shape heading into next season than Miami.
What a shame.
Yet somehow they'll still have a better record than the Jets.
But fine, because neither you're going to win the Super Bowl. So then, one of my good friends is a Patriots fan and was sort of teasing me about the Jets not being able to beat the Patriots. So I was like, "Joke's on you! I'm the one who's going to get the fourth place schedule now." Congratulations.
I guess so. That's what your season's about now.
Yeah.
Well, what
fighting
else?
We're
for that.
so, we're,
can
we're,
it be
so,
about?
we're so good. We're worse than the Patriots. Joke's
What
on
else?
you.
What else can it be about when you're 2-6 and you have the best of everything and you're not winning?
And how do you feel, because Paul admitted to us, in a moment of just Schadenfreude, would they call it? He was just roaming all of your Reddits in the division.
He should. If I were him, I would be doing the same thing.
This is a grim, dark place.
Jets Reddit is not a good place to go right now.
The only place that's in a better shape than AFC East Reddit outside of the Bills. I've heard it looks like, crypto boys who got scammed type level shitstorm.
Speaking of which, I can't remember if I mentioned it on the show. I know I mentioned it to you, all of you in DM. Like, we need to monetize this stuff with Cust coins, where you give it to people, Geoff, to curse them. So you don't actually own it. They're just gifts that you give to people. And then if that works, we can have coins that we can sell. And we'll make $29,000 each.
I don't want to speak for Cust, but he's got some soft. Between me and Cust, we got some, soft, nice white bazoombas we're both working with, right, Tim?
I don't know where this is going. What I will say is people have been tweeting at me the last few days to try to give me some credit. And I want to take the opportunity to take some credit. That if 4 people had finished that 2020 round at the Players week 1 in round 1, Hideki would have been cut the winner's check.
Okay, but what have we? Hold on. What credit are you taking? You constantly say that he won, and all they did was prove to you that he didn't.
He was 4 players who were nowhere near the lead.
And what was the argument that Geoff and I said? We said that not everyone finished the first round, so it didn't make any sort of difference.
4 people who were not impinging.
The first round did not get completed. Therefore,
had those 4 people finished.
Well, there's a lot of things that could have. If the Jets made fucking 3 field goals, they'd be 6-0 or something.
Why are people talking to you about this again?
I think that maybe the fact of this just came out this week. Like, several people have tweeted at me about it. Pat's been tagged in it at least once.
I've been tagged in a few of them. None of them gave you any credit, by the way. It was to point out that that you were wrong. I like how that's your spin on it.
No, it wasn't to prove that I was wrong. It was like to show you folks that I was right.
But you weren't right. You can't take credit for being wrong. That's not how it works.
Well, I mean, just to make the point that 4 players who didn't matter, they had just gotten them in before dark. he would have been given the winner's check, and in a de facto sense.
But you're still wrong, right?
But Geoff, I want
Not really.
I want all of my golf bets graded this way. That if this guy hadn't finished ahead of my guy, it's a winning bet. I'm taking credit
You
for
gotta
it.
understand, if the guy doesn't fumble at the 1 yard line, your team can win the game. But the guy fumbled at the 1 yard line. Like, you don't get you still lost the game. What are you telling me?
Fine, fine. Don't give me the credit I think I richly deserve. That's fine.
I don't even think people were telling you, like Pat said. I think you're misrepresenting credit.
No, they were letting me know that I was on something.
You know what you have? Stolen credit, Tim. You don't want to be someone who steals credit.
No, you won't even give me the credit.
Well,
I'm not. This is not me being a main character. People tweeted
Don't you
this
have a
at me.
list of things you want credit for?
We went through them all.
Okay.
We
So it wasn't that big. 'cause
Someone
there
did.
weren't that many things.
Someone did say that they wanted to see what Cust algorithm was like for TikTok.
Recently, it has just been like music videos.
Oh my God! Your music. Oh, you are a monster to efficiency.
What do you mean? I click one button called YouTube, and then it already knows the songs I've been listening to. So you just click another button because it's going to suggest from your music I'd like to listen to, and then I listen. It couldn't be more convenient. Sorry that I don't have like an advanced computer science degree that I can navigate all the ins and outs of what you people do on Spotify.
Dude, my mom can work Spotify. Like, you're the same level.
No, we're not the same level, clearly. I don't know how to do the whole wrapped thing you guys are talking about to put it all in a pretty bow to show people what I listen to. I'm not interested in that. I just want to listen to my music. I know where it is. I know where to find it. I click a button. My phone, as you know, has one of those little flaps that I put over top of it when I close it. So it doesn't matter to me if the video is running or not. I don't care if the video is running. I'm not looking at it. It's fine with me. And then I just listen to the music.
Listening to music via YouTube music videos as your primary music source.
As somebody who would like to see, who encourages viewers of this show to watch the show on YouTube, I don't look down on people who choose to watch things on YouTube and listen to things on YouTube.
No, my son,
I think you're too good for YouTube, apparently. Well, I'm not.
But you're not watching the videos. You're just listening to the videos.
I'm actually a YouTube subscriber. Like, I pay for premium YouTube.
Well,
That's
I know you're
how much I like
a subscriber because you fight with people in the comments every week. I see it's you.
I don't fight with anyone.
You did
My
comment
side
this week.
hurts.
You did comment this week on one of the videos. I saw
What
it.
did I say?
It
What
was
did I
just like
say?
you were like agreeing or saying thanks to somebody. It was an innocuous little.
Oh my
comment.
God! Sounds like a
But
crazy fight in the comments.
You have also got into the mix. But my point is, don't tell me how I have to listen to music. You can listen to it how you want to listen. I'm not judging you. I don't care how you listen.
Yeah,
to
but
music.
you argue
Don't
about
tell me.
You argue with people about the efficiency of it. Like,
Mine is extremely efficient.
It's not. You can't use your phone the moment you do that.
I don't need to use my phone while I'm listening to music.
Really, that's never become a
I'm
problem for you.
listening to music
Because he doesn't pay for premium, Geoff. So therefore, he has to have the video playing and the app open. Therefore, using way more data than he would think.
My Wi-Fi is fine. My Wi-Fi data doesn't go over.
But where are you using this? I assumed you were using it at the gym.
Well, my gym is in my apartment.
Oh, okay. No, it's not.
Upstairs. When I go to the pool,
your
I'm
Wi-Fi,
not listening to music when I swim.
Yeah, but if you go to the gym in your building, your Wi-Fi is not up there. You use the Wi-Fi at your house.
No, that's true. But I don't. That's true. When I'm in the gym, it's the 5G. But when I'm in my apartment, then I'm listening to it on the Wi-Fi data.
Paul, you want to chime in here?
I kind of scoffed at when he was like, oh, like I watch YouTube and I try to push people towards watching it on YouTube. It's like, has it been like a decade since Tim's like retweeted this show?
Yeah, Tim
shared
never
it out with anybody. I've never seen it.
I've
Like
been
you go
told
through
not to
your
retweet
Twitter
the show
feed,
because
find the
it's
last
bad luck.
time he shared anything.
Who told you that?
Didn't you say don't
No,
retweet the show?
no.
You curse it.
No, I did not say that.
I just presumed that's what it was. Well, I don't know. Look,
Yeah,
what do you want me to do?
Bad for SEO.
All I'm saying is that Geoff is telling you, you download Spotify, you put in your email, you sign up, and then you can...
I don't want to give away my email to them. Why should I have to give away my email? I just type YouTube in. I use the app.
okay,
For
Tim.
the longest time, I wasn't even using the app. I was using the web browser YouTube. I was typing that into my Safari, just YouTube, and then opening it from there and watching videos. I don't do that anymore. At least I use the app now, and because you have that, and you can also, the great thing about using YouTube is that I can screencast it from my phone to my television and listen to the music I'm listening to when I'm like doing my decorating or cooking or
Can you
cleaning
read
or
me your
laundry.
can you go into YouTube?
Hold
and
on,
tell us, like
you also know that Spotify does the exact same thing, right?
I have no idea. I don't use the product. Maybe it does, but I know how my product works.
Can you give us the last 5 things you've watched on YouTube?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of biographies recently. So like the last 5 things I watched were from I guess, well, I don't know what you would call it, a channel or whatever that just has biography. So I watched the biography of Kaiser Wilhelm II, and I watched one about Pol Pot, and I watched one about George Orwell and about King James I and Sir Francis Drake. Those are the last 5 things I've watched on YouTube. But like music wise,
Are you going out of your way to not watch biographies of any living person?
well, just I find that there aren't that many living people whose biographies I want to consume in an hour. I probably know a lot about them already. Like I'll listen to like the last musical stuff. Like I've got a few Beatles songs here I was listening to earlier today. Like I listen to music as well.
Do they ever talk about brother number 2 in the Khmer Rouge, or just brother number 1?
It is mostly a focus on Pol Pot's life in Paris and in Cambodia.
What? I mean, that Ben Affleck, Keith Olbermann sketch from like 20 years ago is seeming more and more prescient.
I believe
by
it was
the
from
day.
the 2008, the week before the 2008 election.
No, it was with Bush.
Oh no, I think it was just before the Obama-McCain election.
I've seen this before with Pol Pot.
In the killing fields of Pol Pot. I hope they're paying you in oil. How dare you?
That guy's Twitter feed is off the fucking rails, man.
Don't venture there.
It used to be like kind of funny and kind of about baseball sometimes. No, not anymore.
No. That's
Oh, yeah. Gone.
I think
Too
that
bad.
might be the best Ben Affleck performance of all time.
better than his turn in Good Will Hunting.
Yes. I mean, he wasn't all that great in Good Will Hunting.
I actually think he's pretty good.
He's okay in Good Will Hunting.
That scene where he's trying to get the job for when he dresses up in the 3-piece suit to try to get the job, like to act as what's his name's agent. I think that's a pretty great scene.
Season 34 SNL was what year is season 34? Right, 2009. You're right.
Yeah, so the fall of 08, winter of 9. So it would have been just before the Obama-McCain election.
Highly recommend anyone go to YouTube to watch this. You're probably not even
great.
on Spotify, so you're probably good on this front.
I
Countdown
can watch
with
videos
Keith.
on YouTube too, because I like music videos too. Unlike you, who think you're too cool, I think like much music should still have music videos, and I used to like watching music videos when I was younger.
I
If I'm watching on YouTube, I get to see the music video.
I liked how often you just talked about closing your phone so you don't have to see it.
Well, no, I don't always do it, but sometimes I'll just throw my phone in like a bowl so that it projects the sound, and then I'll walk away. But if I'm
just talked about streaming it through your TV. Why wouldn't you do that instead of putting your fucking phone in a bowl?
Well, sometimes I haven't got my TV on, or it's more convenient. I do what I do, okay? And the idea that you and Geoff should criticize me for how I listen to music is a bit rich. Like, I don't go around criticizing the choices you make, Geoff. I'm sure you make all kinds of silly.
No, okay.
I don't criticize you for walking around with your phone next to your ear. That's fine. You did that several times on the Montreal trip. You just had your phone speaker right up to your ear.
Yeah, I was probably listening to something and it was loud near me.
Like, I don't judge you for that. I have no judgment. But yet,
Okay, I don't know. I didn't have but here's the thing. I can acknowledge, sure, that's weird. That's not the most efficient way to listen to something. You I respect that is your routine. That is how you do it. That is how you're comfortable. But we as friends, not trying to trick you, being like, everyone else is using this program. We're not all using it because it's we're using it because it is probably the most efficient way to listen to music on your phone. So I have no issue with you saying, this is how I do it. This is how I like it. I don't like change. This is how I know. When you say, no, this is actually the most efficient way, That's when I get combative with you because you're wrong.
Well, again, it's like 2 clicks of my finger and the song is on. And the algorithm is intelligent. It knows what songs I next want to
And
listen
then
to.
you can't even
based
close
on the song I'm
app
listening to.
keep the music going.
Well, then I don't need to close the phone.
And if you even told me that I put it on my TV and it played like through a reel of it, I would actually think that's way more normal than actually using it from your phone.
Okay.
Countdown with Keith Olbermann, Geoff, is all you need to put into YouTube, and Ben Affleck after that. I highly
But don't
suggest.
put, it into,
I
don't put it into YouTube because God forbid you use YouTube for anything, according to Geoff. It's
I
not
use
efficient.
YouTube for everything.
Well, how inefficient of you.
No, for things that are
Why
on
don't you
YouTube.
just wrap it in the Spotify?
Because this
What?
stuff isn't on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Last 5 things I watched on YouTube. About
Get the beep ready.
this is a thing on the betting markets for why Trump's becoming such a big favorite. Mic'd up Khalil Mack from Sunday. Vivek Ramaswamy on the Ezra Klein show. Baba Booey interrupts Howard with non-important information. Circles off episode 4. Yunra is a bunch of anti-Semitic.
You really snuck that one in there, didn't you?
I was just reading the roll. Might have changed the headline, but I was just reading the roll.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next game. New England at Tennessee. I spoke before about Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, about guys that have it. Drake May, Tim, kind of looks like he has it.
Maybe. It's a little early to know, but he certainly doesn't give off any negative vibes. So that's very positive.
Yeah, maybe that's the better way to put it, Geoff. That he doesn't look like a fish out of water immediately. That's usually a good sign. Like, even if he's not good or bad, or like he can be bad or whatever, but he looks competent. Like, he can take a snap. Looks like he kind of reads a defense. He does run a bit, but he doesn't run around with his head cut off. He looks somewhat poised, which I think is important.
100%. He looks poised, and it looks like he's got awareness, pocket awareness, awareness in terms of like live to fight another down. That play is blown up. I'm just throwing it into the dirt. Some rookies want to run around with, get their heads chopped off and always try to keep something alive. I've been really impressed.
Unfortunately,
honestly,
we probably don't see him this week. It's probably Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, that is what it is. But thoroughly impressed, honestly, through 2.5 starts. I wasn't that much more impressed with any of the other. Other than I've impressed as I have been with any rookie after 2 or 3 starts this year. Obviously, Jaden, I thought it might chill a little. He kept going up, and we'll see what May does. But he's putting balls on target, and he can read that sucker on 3rd down. Love it.
Here's the thing. The Patriots, while being 2-6, are not really as bad as the other teams sort of in that orbit.
Disagree.
You look at the way they played this year.
They're worse.
They should have beaten Seattle. They should have beaten Miami. They are like just a blink away from, instead of being 2-6, from being like 4-4. Like, they're not great, but they're not nearly as bad as the Titans, for example.
You say that, but now you're going to take Tennessee, and Tennessee is 3-point favorites against them. Like, is there any team besides?
I'm actually not going to take Tennessee. I'm going to stick with my initial inclination, which is that I like the Patriots in this game. I have to take them. They have to be the right side. I think they're the better team. I think the Titans are really bad. It would be better for the Jets, for the Titans to win. We could move all the way up, I think, to the 2nd pick overall if we lose and the Titans win this week. So that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I just think the Patriots are slightly better than Tennessee. They're more competent than Tennessee. I think they're going to win.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Fair and balanced question.
Yeah.
2 years down the road, like right now, other than the Bills, which of the 3 AFC teams would you rather take over at this exact moment? Like, considering their everything, the roster, current situation, all of
Well,
it.
it has to be the Patriots because they're already blown up, and if you took over one of the other teams, you have to blow them up within.
They
2
seem to have a
years.
QB who seems to have it.
Yeah, even if he,
at least
even,
so far.
I was gonna say, even if he doesn't have it, at least you're still already blowing. You don't have to wait to blow it up. Like that's gonna have to happen in New York and Miami.
Rather than having 39-year-old Matt Stafford try to like limp around for the Jets in 2 years or whoever.
You'd be lucky.
Whatever aging wonder star they'll bring in there.
They're gonna end up with Derek Carr on the next contract.
That was me just wanting to take a drive-by at Tim to be like, it's October 2024, and it's the Patriots are like in better shape than you.
Okay, how about this?
Well, okay. Tim
just
can try to. I don't know why Geoff seems possessed to rip my heart out all day. First, he wants to make fun of me about how I sneeze. Then he wants to make fun of me how I listen to music. Now he wants me to feel bad about my team into the indefinite future. I don't know what I ever did to Geoff's team. I've tried to be really nice to Geoff's team this year. I hope the voters out there hear the way he's behaving on this show and remember appropriately to vote Geoff.
This is the
out there know you listen to YouTube for music instead of Spotify.
They will find that endearing, and they will find your attacks on me cruel.
You know the Jets are truly out of it when Tim has pivoted to the Custy most insane ballot this early. My question for you guys was, you just said the Patriots are better than a lot of these teams with the same record, and maybe you feel that way because the Jets also have the same record, and you're just so out on the Jets right now. But outside of Carolina, on a neutral site, Geoff, would the Patriots be favored against any team?
New Orleans.
I don't think so. New Orleans is a 7.5.
New Orleans without Derek Carr.
Well, they have Derek Carr. They have
now
Derek
that
Carr
they
back.
have him back, it's a little different. But like the New Orleans of last week, the Patriots would be favored. I would take the Patriots in that game.
I don't know if they would be.
I agree with Pat's assessment.
So then you think they're the second worst team in the NFL? I don't see that.
I mean, this is a team that they're pretty close to because this is either the third worst or fourth worst team. I will take Tennessee to cover the 3.
Tim, I think you're totally like misrepresenting how good the Patriots.
Well, they just beat the Jets. Of course they're good. How could they be? They beat the Jets. The Jets have the best. You don't seem to understand, Geoff. The Jets have the best player at every position. So if you beat them, you got to be good.
Like the Patriots
how good are they?
yards.
They're favored by 2.5 points against the Texans.
Is it up to 2.5 now?
I'm sure it will be.
Go ahead, Jim.
Fine. This is an unbettable, unplayable game.
I am only betting. Listen, I'll tell you, there's nothing methodical about this. I am just fading the trend. I am fading it. I want it to die. I will bet it until it's over. This against the Lions thing. I don't know who the Lions play next week, and I'm already committed to it.
If you
who they play this week, I've already forgotten.
If you like
the Lions play the Texans next Sunday night.
If you like the 3, Geoff, you should bet it now because it's going up to 3.5 pretty soon based on the VIG.
I'm on the Titans.
New Orleans.
The Titans play the Packers, or the Lions play the Packers this week. Now I think the Packers might be idle
next week. The Packers are off next week.
Yeah, so the trend will end because there'll be a bye week.
New Orleans at Carolina. Carolina is a 7-point dog in this game. I think Bryce Young might start. Not sure about that. And it looks like Derek Carr is going to return for the Saints. I like the Saints by a ton, Tim.
It's too short. It's too short. The real line on this game is probably New Orleans by 13, right?
Or
they just can't give you that kind of a number.
They
can't give you that number, but like, there's just no way this should only be a 7-point spread, like especially with Derek Carr in there. I would take it if it wasn't Derek Carr. I just can't. I can't take points with the Panthers right now. I just can't do it.
Cam is very mad at me, Geoff, that I keep dominating my gold picks and even my super locks on the show just by betting against Carolina every week. It's the same.
He's allowed to.
Do you remember when we did this, Geoff, on Minnesota that year when they covered like 8 games in a row? We just locked them in every week.
And this would almost this would make your bet intriguing if Carolina could actually win this game.
I don't want that. If the Saints win, I basically have won the bet.
Yes, I would think you have. Feel like there's more points here by kickoff. Feel like an idiot, but they just give it away for free to Pat every week. I don't feel like I'm just taking the Panthers.
Why?
But
This
there's no way to actually
happened.
bet it.
This happened with that Browns team that went 0-16. And week after week after week, really smart people talked themselves into taking whatever the books would give them on the Browns. And the Browns would not cover week after week after week. Like sometimes a team just becomes an unbettable wagon. And the Panthers are that until they prove otherwise.
This will be a stupid game. It'll be close.
They just got rid of their best offensive player, too.
Yeah.
And New Orleans got
awful.
its quarterback back.
Yeah. Who, while he's not great, is better than Hainzer and Ritter.
Oh. Yeah, I'm on the Panthers, but I wouldn't bet this. But I guess you could also alt bet the Saints to 2 touchdowns.
You should.
You know, this one, I don't want to get greedy betting against the Panthers. I want to bet the Saints -7.
No, I know, but Tim was saying like
I think the true line's like 12 and a half.
yeah,
or
that's what I'm
13.
saying. Tim was saying he thinks they're off by 6 points.
I mean,
So-
I think that would be a fair line.
I don't disagree with him because this happens every single week where the Panthers
It
are
does.
just like, but it happened last week too. Like I locked in, I bet it live on the show when I bet Denver at, I think it was 9. What did that close at 12 and a half?
Yeah, they lost by 21. And they were lucky, or 14. And they were lucky to only lose by 14.
yeah, and they got spotted 7.
Washington and the Giants. Giants are favored by 3.5 at home. We saw this game earlier this year. And how many field goals did Washington kick? 7?
7 to win 21-18.
If they can just score one of those touchdowns this time around, they easily cover the spread. These teams are not close. Give me Washington. Especially with the Giants on a short week. Daniel Jones.
Giants defense played. Dad, give the Giants their due. Their defense has played pretty well the last few weeks against some pretty stiff competition. And I expect their defense will continue to play well.
Yeah, but this is a bad matchup for how their defense plays because Daniels can
Well,
elude-
but the last time,
Daniels
but
can-
the last time they played, like it was a good matchup.
It wasn't a good matchup. They moved the ball down the field at will, and Washington couldn't punch it in. Is that going to become a
which
problem
they
for Washington,
couldn't do
like we
last
saw
week.
last week? Maybe you're onto something there. But if you give me the team that gets themselves
Nervous.
inside the 10-yard line 7 times in a game, I'm going to take them to win.
Well, I'll continue to thrill all Commanders fans out there by picking the Giants and continuing to pick against them.
I just think that the type of defense that the Giants are playing right now, where they're generating a ton of pressure, which they are, completely fair, is that Daniels can elude them and run away and extend those plays, where a lot of the quarterbacks that they've played have not been able to do that. And Washington, weirdly, Geoff, is doing exactly the same thing. You know who can't elude them and just kind of like falls like this into the defensive line now is Daniel Jones.
Home dog, getting the extra half point. The world is going to be on Washington. The Giants are going to be a very sharp pick.
Kind of, I mean, the Giants were a super sharp pick on Monday night, too. How'd that work out?
I think they had every
They
chance to cover, to be fair.
Until
They don't give up that punt return.
Oh yeah, they don't give it
cover.
when they score a touchdown. They're like, you know what we need to do? We need to do the analytics trick, which I always support, of going for 2 early, and then they run maybe the worst 2-point play of all time.
Well, yeah.
So the Giants were like hyper popular. I know that I think he'll even say, I think Pizzola was on it big. They were his gold pick. A lot of factors. Pittsburgh just looked so great in prime time. Problem was, like, yeah, maybe the Giants deserved the cover. They gave up the kick. They blew conversions. Russell Wilson looked good, man. And I don't think the I think the people who were backing the Giants last night were betting on a come down game from Russ. He didn't give it to them. I will take the Giants here. I will take these points. If Jaden is banged up in the oblique, this is the wrong defense to have that injury
Agreed.
with.
Agreed.
But this is just separate from the fact.
Wait, do you think that he's more injured now than he was last week?
Less, and he looked fine. And that was a big if, and this isn't like a super lock or even in consideration. My main cap on this game, which is why you don't want to tail me, is that I'm just fading the team that like walked off on a Hail Mary at home. Like, just that's it. It's as simple as that. I'm sure there's records on the ATS, a small sample size, I couldn't even tell you what it is, of like teams after walk-off Hail Marys. I'm willing to bet that fading them is probably the right play. I'm taking the Giants. It's not a real cap. It's not a real bet.
I've seen teams get Hail Marys and lose the same game.
You also you also saw a Hail Mary pick 6 last year too.
I sure did. If there's one thing that I know, it's Hail Marys and how they have no positive effect for your team.
I actually think
I didn't actually see that. You went to sleep.
Yeah, he did go to sleep.
Correct, but I heard. Well, I saw it in terms of I saw
It's true. You went to sleep.
saw the highlights, and I intend to go to sleep on Halloween night too. And what a peaceful night's rest it'll be.
What time are you handing out candy until?
Well, we've been through this several
Well,
times.
you got a free night, so maybe you could change your plans because you're doing nothing. You just admitted that. You said, I'm doing nothing.
I'm not going out on the roads on Halloween. I wouldn't be comfortable. No, I'll stay home.
Jared's giving out candy at the studio house here. He'd like some company to give out some candy to the kids.
No, I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch TV and I'm going to watch a movie and maybe baseball will still be alive by then, though I got my dad.
Thursday's an off day.
Is it an off day? Okay.
Travel day if it is alive.
Okay. Well, then I'm just going to watch a movie.
Sleep
on the couch.
Let's not compete with Thursday night football. Let's not compete with. They've done a good job of not competing with football where they don't have to. Like they did on Monday night, but they had to.
But you have to at some point, yeah.
Yeah,
Tim,
but,
like for Halloween, like because of the vibes, do you put the nightlight on high?
I'm not going to answer because I can see the vein bulging in Patrick's forehead.
Hi. I think this is a very bad matchup for the Giants. There are two things that the Giants do very poorly on the defensive side of the ball, and Pittsburgh was able to take advantage of it somewhat, but not all the way, and it's exactly what Washington is good at, both facets offensively. They are great at deep passes, which the Giants cannot cover, but Pittsburgh couldn't take advantage of, and they cannot stop anyone on the ground. And Washington is one of the better rushing teams in the league right now as well. With Daniels, without Daniels, I mean, hell, you could bring in Mariota. He could run the same kind of thing. I think this game looks more like what we saw against the Eagles 2 weeks ago when the Giants got absolutely shellacked.
If you weren't on your fading Carolina strategy, this might be your super lock.
It still might be my super lock.
Yeah. It does feel like the Giants could suffer that Eagles game like fate against a lot of good teams here.
And then, listen, short rest, and this spread doesn't seem big enough to me. Like it does seem
right.
It seems like they're. And this has happened with Washington. I've made Washington, I think, my super lock 3 times so far this year, at least twice. And every time it's like the books haven't caught up that they're actually really good.
You might be right about that. This spread does feel short. There's no way it's 3.5 on Sunday.
It's probably going to be 3, and you're going to be like, oh, the Sharps are on the Giants. And then they'll be like, oh, they lost by 30. But it was the Sharp side, though. It should have won.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'll bet it. I'll make my own losing bets.
That brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I think I've been thinking about this the last few days, particularly at grocery stores. I think there need to be a lot more free samples and free samples of things that like would be healthy. I go through the produce section and I see like a dragon fruit, and I have no idea whether that dragon fruit is any good. If there were constantly free samples available for like nectarines and dragon fruit and all these various pieces of produce, that would be very healthy for me to purchase and buy. But that would be great. So I could have a little taste of it and know whether or not it was any good before I bought it. And I don't think it should just be there. I think there should be free samples available at fast food places too. Like I saw that Burger King was advertising like an Addams Family Whopper. And I was like, you know what? They should constantly have little mini samples of that thing in the store for me to give it a try to see whether I would like it before I spend the money on a whole meal. There should be little free samples of all this stuff available for me as a consumer so that I know whether it's worth my while to purchase it.
Well, there are two things. We actually did.
And people love them at Costco.
Well,
so like they're a great idea.
So there's a whole bunch of different things here. One, when I actually worked in the produce section, 20 years ago now, we actually did do dragon fruit free samples, weirdly enough. What a very specific thing to have you mention, and we used to do that because we didn't really move any dragon fruit, so that was a good way to get people to try it out that maybe they would buy one. Two, remember when you ate all the free samples from the people in the line?
Didn't eat all the free samples. I ate the last sample.
Yeah, but you didn't eat just the last sample.
I wanted two to make sure that I knew that I liked it before I was buying it. And I did purchase it.
Three, at Costco, when you see this stuff, now it might not always be the case, but a lot of the companies, or a lot of it is like if the Kirkland brand, whatever it might be, the Costco brand, they're not moving enough units of whatever that might be. It's not through, bless their hearts. Hey, we want to give you some free samples of this stuff to really encourage you to buy it because, we're very generous. We have too much of this stuff and we want you to try it and then go buy it because we have too much of it. That's why they do it.
I cannot stand it at Costco. It is so annoying. I am not there to lollygag. And these people, Jesus Christ.
The Tims of the world. There's no more place where Tim would rather lollygag than a grocery store. Unless there's an old man chasing them down.
The plan is if they can score enough, it's a free lunch. Like that's what's going on.
You don't think that Tim's doing that too?
I'm not doing it to avoid lunch. I'm doing it because I want to taste all the various things that they have. And as an effect, I do purchase it. Like, for example, you go to the grocery store this time of year, there's like 12 different types of apples. Now, if I want to buy some apples, I'd like to know what these types of apples actually taste like before I decide which apple to go on. Like, I know what basically some of them taste like, but others I have no idea. Every single one should have a little tiny sample available for me to try so that I can determine which one I want.
You know where you could do that? When you go picking apples.
That's true.
No, you can't. No,
that's true. I pick apples with my kids.
I suspect if you go to an orchard, they're all the same type of apple at that orchard.
No, I swear to God, I was there. That's literally rows and rows of like 6 different kinds.
Okay, fair enough. But unless I'm going apple picking, I'm not doing that. I'm at the store. Like, if I want to know whether the nectarines are good and in season or the plums are good and in season, like, I want to be able to try a little piece before I spend my money. And
you are so annoying.
Go ahead. Continue to attack me. Continue to attack me, Geoff. It's your favoriteest thing to do today. So go right ahead. Keep doing it.
When you have an issue with, like, you strike me like you would complain to the chef at McDonald's.
No, but that's actually not true, because whatever Tim eats, he likes. We have determined that. He has given 0 negative reviews to any food ever.
Like, it's not up to the grocery store to cut up slices of apples for you.
Well, it would be nice if they did. Then
you can buy them.
Then I know what to purchase, or like
buy it, try it, and if you like it, you buy more.
No, but like I don't want to buy a bunch of. I really like plums, so I buy a bunch of.
How
plums.
often do you go to the grocery store, though?
How often do you buy plum? When was the last time you had a plum?
Not often enough. I really like them.
Then maybe go buy one. And then bring that home.
Well, I don't want to buy one because then I'll be really frustrated if I buy it. It's delicious, and I might want to eat 3 more plums.
Then buy 3 plums.
There for me.
How much could a plum cost? $20?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't know. You don't know your stone fruit pricing very well. Clearly, like I just want to if I want to purchase something, I want to have enough of them that I can eat them and enjoy them. And like, I don't want to buy them, bite into them. They're hard or they're sour or they're bitter, and I have to dispose of them. Like, that's a waste. It would encourage people to buy healthier things if healthy things were available all the time in free samples.
Just go to a higher quality fruit market.
I'm not going to do that.
Well,
I'm not going to do that.
Go to like a farmer's market on the weekend.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just an average person who goes to average grocery stores and purchases average things. Okay,
but it sounds bad. Hold on. You're an average person who goes into average places to average things, and then you complain about the stuff being average.
Well, no, I'm complaining about it not being good sometimes, or I just don't know what it tastes like. And like, there are some, like an ugly fruit. I don't know what ugly fruit tastes like. I'm not going to purchase an ugly fruit without having tried the flavor of it yet. Maybe it's really good. I don't know.
Well, Superstore has plums currently on for 60 cents each. You could afford to buy 4 of those, Tim, and see if they're okay.
But it's a waste. Like, I don't want to waste the produce.
Well,
or the money.
Put it this way, if it was bad and it was a waste, then no one's going to eat it anyway. What's the difference?
Why not have free samples all over the place? Who's against free samples? Why aren't there just free samples everywhere?
You know, getting to spend time with him in Montreal, I did sort of experience, like, I didn't realize he was as cheap as
Hey,
Yes.
hey.
I didn't know. Like, it was clockwork with the free food in the media tent. Like,
I wanted
God
to try the stuff.
forbid,
They had sliders.
the concept of you spending like even $1 for something good on property was like sacrilegious to
Oh,
you.
we had a whole fight about this. Jeff was like, "Aren't you going to like go to one of the food trucks to get like a burger made by the keg?" And I was like, "Why would I do that when there's beef tenderloin for free in the media tent? Why would I go spend my money on a funnel cake when I can go eat key lime?
I wanted him to come
free?
have like a nice soft pretzel with me. Like, he forbid. He's like, no, and you can't even buy me one because there's free
No,
food.
it'd be a waste.
here."
No, like there's free food here.
Like,
And it's not like it's bad free food. It's one thing
No,
if it was like,
yeah,
like
but that
slop,
doesn't-
but it was delicious.
but on the counter to that, like, you've saved so much on food and drink that, like, if there's something you like, what's the like, you're already plus EV.
Well, you know what's even more EV? Eating more of the free stuff.
And you saved a ton of money on breakfast every single day too. 'Cause I don't remember you going to get the breakfast.
I was intending to go one morning and somebody beat me to the punch, and I feel bad about that.
Oh,
But of course, God forbid you set an alarm in the morning there, or you're the worst person ever. So
Did we went over that, didn't we?
yes, we did. That is just a deep cut for listeners who might remember from 4 weeks ago. I'm not cheap.
if you had free Diet Pepsi, would you pay for Diet Coke?
Yes, because I can't stand Diet Pepsi.
But what about like other, like, if you got free Dr. Pepper, would you pay for a free Diet Coke? I mean, would you pay for a Diet Coke?
I would drink the Dr. Pepper.
So here becomes the problem with giving out free samples at like a mass supermarket is you've seen what these companies have done to slash costs already, right?
Yes. This would be a perfect thing for AI and robots to look after.
I mean, listen, if the AI could look after, you still have to pay for those robots at the same time. So that's, if you hand out free samples, you then have to pay someone to stand there and hand out the free samples.
I just think you replenish the little...
Or chop
Yeah.
them up or whatever it might be. Someone needs to man that operation in order for
Yes.
that to go out. You also create clusters at the grocery store. Specifically at this time from now until Christmas, it's just packed. It's already starting to get crazy inside the grocery store. What you don't want to do is start gumming up the works, clogging up the lanes for people like Jeff and I who want to get in and we want to get out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and you dude, like, in line for another free sample while I see you finishing the one from 3 aisles in front while I'm trying to get by to just get shit. Like, that's annoying as hell. I will say though, Pat, in terms of paying for it, I know you say in some cases it's just the product that's not moving, but a lot of it is the companies will pay for the activation and they'll
But that's less so at Costco.
okay, maybe.
Well, Paul used to work at Costco. Paul would know how it all works.
Paul worked like the back shift at Costco.
Oh.
He wasn't.
I don't really know how it all works.
He
I was
wasn't
like overnight shift, like stocking the shelves one year in university. The one thing I do find fascinating
Costco seems like a really fun place to work, I have to say. Like, of all the, like,
It was a
the,
good
like
po-
high
like,
school or...
Kidding me?
for
all,
retail,
like,
it was actually a pretty good job, I would say.
Yeah, for high school or university style retail jobs, I would say that, Costco's got to be one of the top 5% places.
What I find
would
fascinating is that Tim wants all these free samples, doesn't know that he wants to buy things, but then every season buys a cake to just put in his
He
freezer.
bought one today. He fucking texted us the picture of it that looked bigger than his fucking fridge.
Yes, the problem is it's a very big cake, but it was on half price.
The problem is the cake's too big and there's not enough company.
Yeah,
Well, I brought it to the house. I brought it to the studio house for a live
yeah, that
show.
was the
We had
first time that anyone ever had a bite of any of your freezer cakes.
other than me.
Oh, so you're eating the freezer cakes then?
I'll have a taste here or there before it goes in the freezer, just to get just to make sure it's good.
Well, so you're okay sampling that after you've paid for it, but anything else you need a free sample.
No, my point is, not only would it encourage people to go to the grocery stores that have free samples, which would be an additional positive benefit for you, you would move more product because people would know exactly what it tastes like and would actually purchase it. I would purchase a lot more of the various produce available, other than the 4 things I usually buy, if I was able to taste and see
Do
exactly
you
what it
know
was.
where you need to go? Like a farmer's market.
Yeah.
They'll
But
let you
I-
taste
They'll
the
let
shit.
you sample.
They want you to
want that.
sample it.
If it's Wednesday night or like tonight, I
Oh.
have to grocery shop when our podcast is over. And like when I go out to buy groceries, there's no farmer's market for me to go on a Tuesday evening, Jeffrey. I've got to purchase the same baby carrots I've been buying for 3 years because they're $2.99 and I know how to cook them easily. But I would like to try like some other, like an aubergine or something to see what it tastes like. But I just don't know if I'll like it. I don't know if the texture's right. I don't know if it's good. So I just pass on it.
You go to a farmer's market, they let you taste these berries, they let you cut you off a little piece of cheese, they'll even cut you off a piece of meat. They want you to sample it.
But okay, but here's where I don't like is then I feel a guilt relationship between me and the person who gave me the sample that I almost feel like obliged to have to purchase it. At the grocery store, Mr. Stobies or Mr. Superstore isn't standing there when I have my free sample encouraging me to purchase it. When, somebody who's a farmer at a farmer's market gives me a piece of one of his carrots, here, try it out. And I say it's really good because it is. How do I then say, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not going to purchase your carrots? I'm then obliged to purchase the
You're
carrots.
so shook. You are so shook.
I don't have a
Like,
choice at that point.
Maybe there's something else. There's something else you could purchase.
No, but like if he gives me like 5 or 6 samples, then I've got to buy something, and maybe I didn't want to buy
It's
it,
not
but now
it's a sample. It's not a buffet, Tim.
No, well, yeah, but like if I want to try a couple of things, then I am committing to purchasing something at his table because I've eaten a sample.
This is a curb skit.
No, do you not think that's true? Can you really look that person in their flannel shirt?
No,
and
I get it. You're just intimidated.
who's
Someone
a hard worker who this Saturday market is crucial for them and their way of life. And they go out of their way to give me a free sample and I eat it and it's delicious. And I say, no, thank you.
Why?
I can't do
But if you were trying it and it was delicious, why wouldn't you buy it?
Maybe I just don't want. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, or maybe it's delicious, but it's not going to go with the meal I'm going to cook, or I don't know.
Do you buy your food
like
one meal at a time?
Sometimes, yes, I do. Sometimes, I don't. There's too much social.
Wouldn't you get?
pressure.
I know this sounds like super corny, but I've been dragged to these places once in a while. You get some weird level of like satisfaction in like supporting the farmer.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's good to support them.
Tim
but
said he could be a farmer, so this is step one.
I could be
farmers.
a gentleman. I could be a gentleman.
So you could yuck it up. Great converse. You're intimidated, but you already have
But
conversation.
if I'm going, I'm committed to spending money that I might not really want to spend.
No, this all just becomes you
Being
want
cheap.
to eat your sample in front of an hourly wage employee instead of somebody who put
What I want
labor-
is to be able to eat my sample without the guilt of not purchasing the item if I decide I don't want to. Because if like a farmer, let's say, or a cheesemaker or something, cuts me off a piece of their cheese and I eat it and I don't really like it, I'm not going to say, oh man, this is awful. I'm going to be polite and say, oh, that's interesting. That's really good. And then they'll say it's so many dollars a pound. And then how do I say, no, I don't want
Stop. You've already determined how you do it. You say no, and then you walk away.
No, but then I've just said I liked it. And now because I want
maybe don't fucking lie to people.
Well,
I didn't
tell some
you can
poor
tell
person
you
who
can tell
makes cheese for a living that
not
their
everyone's
product
gonna like
isn't
it.
good.
I think the people who make the stuff knows that. Listen, if it was 100%
I would
hit,
be
yeah,
heartbroken.
but not everyone is as
heartbroken.
fucking
If
fragile
I
as
went-
you.
If I went through all the effort it takes to make cheese to sell it at the farmer's market, and I gave someone a sample, and they took a bite and they said, "Ugh, this isn't for me," that would shatter my heart. I could never do that to another person.
You're not posting it online. You're not like Portnoy
No,
trying
just
someone's
the feeling.
pizza
Just
right
the-
beside the
that-
owner operator.
Not
social
everyone.
interaction
Not
would be
everyone is as
devastating.
fragile as you. The people who make cheese or sell fruit.
I'm just very
listen,
empathetic.
Listen, if it was for everyone, they wouldn't be at the fucking farmer's market selling it. Everyone would buy it, and they would be trillionaires. They know it's not for everyone. That's why they're letting you try it to see if it's for you. That maybe you will buy it.
You're
They're a
so
small business.
fragile because everything you say you want, the farmer's market will give you, but you're too fragile to go to the farmer's market to
It's
look
too
the
risky
farmer
because then
in
I
the
feel
eye and say, "No, thank you."
I know because it's happened to me before. I have gone to these places and bought things I didn't want.
That's a you
But
Just
felt
problem.
like
buy
I
the
had
things
to.
you do want.
So
They felt like I had to.
So basically, as it pertains to farmers market free samples with this food, you're like the recovering cokehead who can't be around his old friends because they do too much coke all the time.
Just I want to be able to enjoy my free samples in peace and then be able to decide based on the sample alone whether or not I wish to purchase
Okay.
that item
So
and how much without any of the social
So you
guilt.
want a free sample change room.
No,
Wouldn't that-
he
no,
wants farmers market samples, but he just wants like
It
the
delivered
owner
to him.
operator of the farm to not be there. He just
Yeah,
wants some
there should
hourly.
be like a separate table in the farmer's market, like when you walk in or somewhere else in the market where I can walk in and taste any of the samples, and the people don't know what I've tasted, so that they don't know that I have tasted their product, thought it was good, and walked away. Because like that would just
So
the
can I
feeling
ask? And this
is
is a
so-
nice
so
quality.
awkward.
Do you always give change to homeless people? Are you always buying like Girl
I
Guide cookies? I got
very
Girl Guide
rarely.
cookies to sell you.
I do often buy Girl Guide cookies, and I like Girl Guide cookies.
Yeah,
And what the
that's
scouts
a
or what do you
for
call it,
him
the
type
cadets?
purchase.
You always sponsoring the Legion halls and the cadets. This is lovely stuff. I'm not.
Yes,
knocking.
but like
I'm al- I'm-
like
I
this
like to
time
do
of
it as-
year, I put a $5 bill in the Poppy box every time I pick one up. Like I it means something.
I'll
to me.
put a 5 in, but I'm taking like 3 or 4.
I think that's fine. I actually think that's fine if you do that.
Like, cause I'll need them, I'll lose them, I'll stab myself.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think that's perfectly fair.
As someone who's not allowed to use scissors, I'm shocked you're allowed to use a poppy.
I am just I'm very talented. It's all about weaving it in and out. I'm very talented at keeping mine in place. Actually,
Would
Oh, you play the weave?
Would you say
Yeah, I
that
do
you're
the
better?
weave with
Would
it.
you say that you're better at weaving a poppy through your shirt or holding a flashlight?
Jeff is referring to Trump when he says the weave. There.
No, I thought you were.
No, I wasn't. But that's a very funny. Do you know what the weave is, Pat?
Is the weave when he starts out one way, goes completely off for 30 minutes, and then brings it all back?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, you know what it is. That's the weave.
I don't think that's really a weave. I don't think that's an intentional weave.
It's a great rhetorician.
That's just a
trick,
crazy
apparently.
uncle. That's not a weave. That's just
So in other words, yes, I do want mashed potatoes. After he tells you for 10 minutes why 5G is bad
like
for you.
Tim would love the farmer's market if it was just some teenage seasonal employee behind the counter of the places he was talking
I just can't say no to the small business person. It breaks my heart to say no. Like there's
But
a
you
big
walk into a burrito place 2 minutes before close
Whatever,
and make
whatever.
yourself comfortable.
Oh,
Why don't you
whatever.
care about those people?
Whatever. Like there's a
No, but hold on.
that doesn't work that way for me. Like there's a big Christmas craft fair this weekend in town, and I can't go because I will not want to purchase all the stuff I see, and it will
my
bother
God.
me.
You
I'll feel
can't just
bad.
walk around a fair because someone who made this beat it thing is going to look at you and you can't say no to them.
But I have to be careful to say oh,
It's
that's
no
really
thank
nice.
you.
If I notice something really nice, I say, oh wow, that's really beautiful. They say, oh well, it's $44. I'm not spending $44 on that, and I have to say, no, thank you. I can't have that.
So then
interaction,
why don't you
Jeff.
say I'll offer you 35?
I'm not good at haggling either. That's all very uncomfortable to me, and I just want to go home and get in my car and eat a burger.
You're afraid
And
of
that's what I
sweet
want.
ladies who make things. This is
I don't want that social tension. I don't want it. I don't need it. I can't have it.
Is this why you don't want to come to Dominican with us? Because those people who sell wares on the beach will just scam you out of everything?
Oh, I was always so awful at that. I was so awful at that game.
It's not
Hold
a
on,
game.
Tim,
it's not a game. It's a way of life, Tim.
And
I know, but it is like it. Yeah, you're right. I was
Pat.
never good at that.
you lived in New York City.
Yeah.
You saw the wagers I was
I
making
go-
with Tim Butts when it came to slushies, and I took like 8 points on Stanford in a game
Okay.
where they were 30-point favorites because I just was bad at haggling.
I haven't been to New York in a while, but it was very common, like at least 20 years ago, 15 years ago, just harassed by dudes like giving you their CD.
Oh yeah, you
Like,
got
they want
or
you
knock
to
off
listen
DVDs.
to their music.
You don't have the right. I'm shocked you don't. Like Tim most definitely doesn't have the look. there's a look you have to develop in big cities, especially when you're walking around most of the downtown core populated areas. You have the look. They know if you have the look that you're not buying it. They don't even talk to you. They don't waste their time trying to interrupt your stride. Maybe it's all about posture and a confident, speedy walk.
Well, you've seen me drive in a new town. I'm not comfortable, so they see me, I guess, as a mark.
Yeah.
Did you see the photo that Byron posted of you driving?
Well,
Whatever, man.
Were you watching the Chargers game while driving?
No wonder you didn't see the sign Kenny was pointing to. You were too busy watching, Corey Connors miss a 6-footer.
Probably. But I'm just saying, so honestly, sometimes I'd want to pay this guy, like, here's $10. I don't want your CD. Just leave me alone. Like, I'm waiting for my wife on this corner. Just leave me alone. Here's a 5 chip. I don't need your music. I don't listen to it. So I get what Tim is saying, but they don't harass you at the farmer's market. Like, that's what Tim is implying.
They don't harass you. They're all very lovely people. But
all of them? You think they're all lovely people, huh? I heard that there was some shady business going on at some farmers markets.
The people that I've interacted with, by and large, have been very nice people.
To you.
And like I see something that looks nice, and I say, "Oh, that looks really cool," and they tell me the price, and I'm like, "Oh man, I guess I gotta buy."
What the hell?
Because if I say no, I just don't have it in me to say. If I say no, that means I have to leave the farmer's market now. I can't possibly bear being in the same room now after that no. Like, that interaction is so awkward, I've got to leave.
You're insane.
No, it's just I have a very...
It's a consideration. It's considerate, but it's still insane.
So,
it's
in a roundabout way, how awkward have I made you over the years when we have gone places together where I have none of this decorum?
No, it doesn't bother me at all because I that's your default setting and that's fine and it's okay.
So other people can say no around you?
I'm not the one having that interaction. You know how that Seinfeld episode where George had to come buy the car for Jerry because Jerry couldn't actually do it? Like, I would need someone to come with me to do this sort of stuff.
Everything in life you need an assistant for.
It would, well, not even assistant.
You really do. You really do need an assistant.
Would certainly, if I were an extremely wealthy person, having a personal assistant would certainly make my life easier.
Well, that's probably a good enough place to leave it. We can move on to the late set of games, which features Jacksonville.
People are going to agree with me, by the way. I think people are going to agree with me that, like, it's very hard to say no.
We all know what you're talking about. We all do it. We all do it.
Well, I don't know that we all do it. I think a lot of people stay away from them because they're so afraid of the interaction.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question. You're at like the hot counter at the grocery store. You want these chicken or something, right? And you see there's
no
like
chicken.
You want these 3 pieces. You want chicken, and there's 3 pieces left in the tray. And while they're giving you the chicken, a whole fresh tray gets brought out and put down. Are you asking for, can I have from that fresh tray? Or are you just too afraid to talk to the hot counter guy?
I'm too afraid to talk to the person behind.
He doesn't care, though. He's happy to assist you.
I
have a friend who did this too, and we gave him a hard time. Like, you're intimidated by the hot counter one.
I can
what if it was an ugly counter
Chinese?
Oh no, I meant hot counter
the hot meal.
I know.
I could totally see like Cam in line at Manchu Walk telling him which chicken ball he wanted
specifically.
Cam would specifically point out like that piece, that piece, that piece,
and Cam would get extra.
Yeah, and they loved him. You think the ladies didn't like Cam? Here comes Big Orso.
He's gonna get his extra 2 chicken balls at Manchu Walk. He's gonna tell you which ones he wants. It'll get them for free.
But it's not that you guys are against free samples. It just seems like you have sort of a weird criticism of wanting more free samples in the world. It would just add to happiness.
No, it wouldn't add to happiness because I think it creates too much blockage wherever I'm at, and I don't care about free samples. It's not that I won't eat a free sample. Walking by, grab one, boom, this is great. Move on for the rest of my day, especially if I'm feeling hungry a little bit. But holiday time of year at supermarkets, the efficiency is so low to begin with that I don't need reasons for people to just randomly stop in the middle of aisles. They do that enough already. for no reason whatsoever. People are very bad at moving their carts over to a side or leaving them at the end of an aisle where they can walk in and leave the aisle clear so other people can walk through. Just the game plan that people have at grocery stores is so bad that adding extra stopping spots across the store, they're not geared for it.
Tim
Maybe this is unpopular. Maybe they should have kept the arrows.
Oh, the COVID arrows?
Maybe they should have kept the COVID arrows.
Yeah, there was
nothing. Seems like an unpopular take, but like maybe they should have.
Yeah, there was nothing worse than walking down an aisle and not finding something, and then you get to the end, and then it's all the way back at the beginning. Then you got to go loop back around.
Yes,
like
that was inconvenient.
That was bad. That was bad news.
But like, what it prevented was those type of traffic jams you're talking about.
It didn't really prevent them because there was enough people who just didn't give a shit anyway.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, we know Geoff did. Geoff wouldn't wear a mask inside Harvey's for a hamburger.
Well, no, that's not true. It's not that he wouldn't wear a mask inside Harvey's. It's that he refused to put on a mask, and they wouldn't let him inside Harvey's.
I didn't have one. The thing just started. I didn't have. Everyone wasn't rocking masks in pocket. It was like brand new, and I had the cash. Whatever. It's okay. Still give that guy a dirty look, but it's okay.
Oh, you actively run into him, do you? Is it like your friend at the
Well, I
card
don't
shop?
really. Yeah, sometimes
Geoff holds grudges against people who work at stores. I go out of my way to avoid unpleasant conversations.
That's not true because they're more like a lot of the staff in that location. I'm very chummy with. Very.
Not him.
It sounds like Geoff lives your dream of being known by the fast food restaurant, Tim.
There's a couple. Tim would be real jealous of.
Yeah.
I guess there was. I don't know. It's just so embarrassing, actually. Let's just say at my local McDonald's, the like late night washer guy, we're on like a nod relationship.
I thought you were going to say the person who works the counter says the regular.
The dude that's scrubbing shit down like late at night. You know, we acknowledge each other with respect. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
I respect that. That shows that you're a loyal customer and you are willing to be kind to people that you encounter at the store.
I'm actually very kind to service folks.
I think a person should be.
You're not. You go in and order stuff 1 minute before they close.
Look, they weren't closing up anytime soon. They had to clean the place. They said it wasn't a problem.
What did you expect them to say? Fuck off?
Well, according to you, that's what everybody says.
That's what
whatever's on their mind.
That's what I would say. But I also wasn't good at holding jobs at service places. Let's move to the late set of games, please. Can we do that? I mean, you're the one who complains about the shows going too long.
I know,
and here you are going back and forth. Oh, I can't. I have to buy
what
that.
What about 50-50 tickets or like charity or when people, you're lucky you don't live in a house. People knock on the door for like, no, it's a lovely thing, but in, Toronto, like they're always knocking for sick kids or something.
No,
Like,
what you need is to get one of those Ring doorbells so you can just open your phone and tell people to fucking beat it. And they take.
Why don't you just put a sign on the door that says no solicitation?
Yeah, it doesn't really work. That's not legally binding.
Well, no, but it discourages somebody who comes to the door from knocking on the door.
No, it doesn't.
Like
I would, if I was selling stuff door to door and I came to your door.
You think that you would? How good of a door to door salesman do you think you would be?
I would be awful, just awful.
Well, you'd be afraid to knock on the people's doors.
Well, this is it. That's what I mean. I would have to spend 10 minutes in my car before each door knock, psyching myself up to go over there and knock on the door, and then hope that no one was home, so that I wouldn't have to talk to them, which is bad for me because I need them to be home to make the sales. So you can see the bind I would be in.
The Eagles are favored by 7.5 against the Jags.
Picturing Tim in the car, like psyching himself up.
You can do this. It's okay. Just get over there.
To talk to some like 65-year-old lady about like a new bath fitter tub.
Can I see your tub? No. Okay, sorry to bother you.
Sorry.
You guys punch. Is everyone punched out?
I think so.
I was going to throw a curveball, not go to Jags and Philly. But here we are. Jags and Philly. Philly favored by 7.5 in the Doug Peterson revenge game against the team that he brought to the Super Bowl. A Super Bowl we were at, Tim, yet did not stay for. We went home. But they're
Only time in my life I was basically almost wanting to cheer for the Patriots because the Eagles fans we encountered were so awful.
They weren't great. It was their first Super Bowl since, 2005?
Yes, but just the way they were acting, I was like, gee, if I didn't hate this Patriots team, I would cheer against this Eagles team.
Think about how insufferable you would be if you went to a Jet Super Bowl.
I would be full of gratitude.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there would be, we're so good.
No, I think I would just be like super happy and delighted to be there.
Who do you like in this game?
Do you like Geoff? You look like you're falling apart over there.
I'll take the Eagles. I have low confidence here. And I would just say if the Chargers made the Super Bowl, I don't think I'd have any emotion other than like just straight fear of God. Like fear of God that like I can't do this again and lose. Like I don't have another 30 years in me to try to do this again. So I would be scared to death that yeah.
Wait, you don't think that you're going to live to be 70?
No, I might live to be 70. I'm not afraid.
Like, what will you be able to like make the full trip all the way?
No, I just mean like the concept of like I don't want to wait another 30 years, have to like go through the ups and downs, for no guarantees. It would just be such a earth-shattering mental moment to get there and lose, knowing that I've got to start at the back of the board. And I don't know that
Geoff would be a very bad Sisyphus.
You know what is a guarantee? The Jalen Hurts free pick you get if you sign up to Underdog right now using code Mayo, by the way. I will take Philadelphia as well. Although Trevi has played much better the past 3 weeks, even when you look at his EPA per play, just the difference between weeks 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 has just been just a lot better. But probably no Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk out for the season, Gabe Davis probably hurt, not sure on ETN. Just down a lot of pieces offensively. And it does feel like now that the Eagles are fully healthy offensively that they can just kind of strike at any time, which is terrifying.
Yeah, they and Washington down the stretch will be a very fun division battle to watch. I like the Eagles, and I like teasing them down.
So far on the teaser, you have Cincinnati, Miami, and Philly?
Yeah.
Okay.
One more to go.
Geoff, you like Philly or Jacksonville? You love Jacksonville.
Philly.
Chicago and Arizona? The Zonans are favored by 1 point against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Tim, I know you're Mr. Chicago. I love Chicago in this game.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I am a little annoyed that the way that the Bears lost can maybe have a ripple effect. You've seen things like
you couldn't see your annoyance
like
through the blue cheese.
No,
that blue cheese was so good. I didn't expect it was the thing. I didn't expect to have that like delicious blue cheese there.
Do I know you or what?
You do. You totally do. And I was so excited for it.
There was a moment in watching the show where, like, I'm sure you could clip it. No, actually, like, if you wanted to, you could. But you rewatch it. Pat is overjoyed about what just happened with Washington. Tim realizes, because he was talking up the Bears moments ago. He's in on Bears long haul. And there's this moment where he's so sad, but he's so satisfied with his chewing and what he's eating that he just shrugged it off.
Well, what else can you do? You have to make a choice at that point, and I chose to look on the sunny side.
Free food.
Well, yes, I suppose.
Who do you like here, Geoff?
I think we're still at the Eagles, or we're on a new game.
No, we're on Chicago
and the Cardinals.
We were just talking about the Hail Mary. And then you said you're worried about how they might respond, and then you forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, and then Geoff began to describe what happened.
Oh, Chicago, Arizona. I'll pick Chicago. Arizona's won 2 mucks in a row at the wire. So
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4.
Yeah, just playing the other side of roulette wheel. I have no real opinion though.
Detroit and Green Bay. The Packers are 3.5-point dogs at home. We argued on the Sunday show about whether this was the Love line or the Willis line. I think this is the Willis line, Geoff.
I believe this is the Willis line. I don't think Jordan Love is going to play.
I don't either.
Yeah, but we said that about Jaden Daniels last week and he played. So I until they rule him out, I think it's like a 50-50 thing.
But I'm going to still, well, this is a tough one.
I
Does this count as the good team with the backup theory, or when it happens the second time, it has less impact? I guess I'm asking myself a question.
3-0, Malik Willis in games he's appeared in.
Give me the Lions. I hate it though, and I like the Packers more in terms of outlook. Well, that's not true. Just in terms
I think,
of futures.
Given that they have a bye week next week, there's no reason to rush Love back. And if they're going to start Willis, I don't think they can score enough points to keep up with what is an actual wagon in the Lions offense. So,
have Lions fans come at you yet about liking them too much?
They're starting, but I picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year and they missed it by like a whisker. So I don't think they hold too much against me.
Yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay, assuming that they can play a bit better defense, knowing this team as well as they do, even if that helps them slow down a little bit. I do think with Willis at quarterback, at least offensively, we've seen Jacobs run the ball really well. LaFleur has been great at scheming with Willis and just giving him easy solutions to the test and him being able to execute those. And those sorts of drives aren't high-flying, like the Jordan Love drives, where he's just looking downfield, running around, and trying to make big plays. So I think that the turnover issue is probably not as big, weirdly enough, unless Willis is forced to play catch-up. Again, it's a lot like the Broncos and Ravens game, where if the Lions get up 14-0, the Packers are fucked. But
they just keep coming is the thing. The Lions just keep coming.
They do, but teams give them ample opportunity to come back because Detroit's defense has been a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But with Willis, the Packers can extend these drives. And remember that Cincinnati drive to kick off last week? That's what you'll try to see from Green Bay here, is that they're going to limit the amount of possessions, and then you need fewer stops. And I don't think that Green Bay is going to win necessarily, but I think with 3 and a hook at home, I think it's going to be a field goal game, so I'll take the hook.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like such a trap, I honestly think, taking the Lions, which at the moment I am taking them. I could totally see this being like what we call it the Fienberg game, but Lions win, Packers actually stay within what is a small number. But with the backup quarterback, and it would be dead if it's 2 scores, I am going to just, for this moment, take the Lions. This feels like one of the biggest traps of the week.
It does seem like a Cam pick.
This is a good alt one if you like the Lions, I think.
I agree. If you told me it was Lions by 7, I wouldn't be bothered by that if you get like 2-1 on it.
Yeah. Rams at Seahawks. Seahawks are, do I have this right? A 1.5-point dog to the Rams at home.
People are hip.
I still like the Rams, -1.5. Geno sucks. We've been playing the Geno sucks outdoors, Geno good inside, and winning money off that, so let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Rams have gotten now through their injuries and are only a half game back after being through all their injuries. They're a very dangerous team down the stretch. I like the Rams.
Geoff?
Apparently the Seattle took a lot of money early in the week off this game. It's tough because the Rams seem like they screwed a lot of bettors last week in terms of Minnesota.
That would be me.
Was a heavy play.
They didn't know that Nakua was going to play and be a central part of the offense in their defense.
Seattle off an embarrassing home loss. Give me Seattle.
Oh my God! You remember? It's funny because we just passed the Detroit game, and I remember last week we talked about what's next for Jameson Williams and what else could he get into. Breaking news.
Yes.
Detroit
4 games drugs.
No, he's on 2 games for drugs right now. Detroit police are investigating why Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams avoided arrest after a gun was found in his car. This guy's everywhere, man. He's everywhere you
remember.
He's the jub of all NFL bingo card type getting suspended for stuff.
I swear someone was talking about this on Twitter for a while. It might have been that Ricky guy.
Yeah, I know. Rick from Twitter. Yeah, he's my best friend.
No, it was Ricky the dog who was beating a lot of was beating a lot of pros to inside information, and a lot of people thought he must be like some agent's kid or something.
Okay.
He even had. I
Is this
remember
what you
like
chat about on your gossip podcast?
no, but this guy, I'm not even. This is the guy who said months ago Adams was going to the Jets.
I could have told you. I could have told you that.
He's been right about a lot of things. I swear he was tweeting about this suspension, or maybe someone else was, but happy to see that came up. Not surprised, honestly. I don't mean to profile, but I mean that's an easy dot to connect with him.
Jameson seems to get himself into a few issues here. It's a triple crown right there. Gambling, PEDs, and guns.
Colts plus the points. Flacco mania.
We're not even on that game.
You don't listen. You're too busy criticizing me at every turn to pay attention what games we're on.
It's the Rams-Seahawks game that we're talking about.
You picked the Seahawks already.
I picked the Seahawks. So what were we? Never mind.
I got a lot of time code notes here. Even you have to remember that beep that I had to put in at 1:36:15.
Oh shit! I didn't even mean for that.
That's okay.
Didn't
That's
I
why
can
the show
tip
is.
Jared for
Didn't
that.
I
one.
tell you would have to have the beep out when he went through the videos he's been watching? I believe I specifically said get the beep ready.
Did you?
Yes.
Of course, Geoff would know. He wasn't listening.
It's an eclectic mix. It is.
Indy at Minnesota on Sunday Night Football. Geoff is taking Indy as he spoiled for us about a minute ago with Flacco.
Sorry, because we were talking about Rams Vikings, and then wires, a lot of wires. You didn't even notice, but like a minute ago, my wife was in here yelling at
A
me.
lot of
about
this, a lot of that.
Oh,
a lot of what have yous.
we heard it, Geoff.
something. No, I thought I had it on mute.
No.
What? Oh, gosh darn it. Whatever.
I see this spread as 5 in many places.
It's dropped. It went from 6 to 5 when Richardson got yanked into Flacco.
So what are we playing it
5.
out here on the show?
We'll play it as a 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the news broke almost like legit right before we went to start recording 8 hours ago. But
I like the Vikings.
I like the Vikings too.
I think they're a good team. I think the Colts are not a good team. I think it's a bad spot for and the Vikings coming off the extra rest. Yeah, I like Minnesota here to cover the number, and if I wish it were 6 because it would be a great teaser at 6, but at 5 it's not.
Oh, you can do what Cam does. Just tease whatever you want.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'll tease the last game.
I believe the Colts players will very much appreciate the organizational decision this week. This is going to be a very close football game. And we'll see what the Vikings can do without their superstar left tackle. Is that for the year?
So it's not even like they were running that hot offensively anyway. It all comes down, and I posited this question to Jake. I'll give it to you guys too. We saw this happen last year with this defense where it was like no one thought it was going to be good, then it turned out to be really good, and then all of a sudden it was the worst defense in the league. Is that happening again in real time, and we're witnessing it, and I'm not reacting to it? Because if that's not the case, the Vikings are way better than the Colts.
Maybe they just benched Richardson this week because they didn't want him facing the Flores blitzes.
And they'll bring him back next week?
Yeah.
How bad is it going to be if like the Bryce Young situation happens here and like Flacco gets hurt in like play 3 and Richardson's back in? It'd be real deflating.
It's very possible.
Now, here's this guy, we don't believe him. Let's get him back in the game.
That's why you don't bench these guys and then make them the backup. They have to be the third string QB when you bench them.
Monday Night Football, Tampa is at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 9 in this spot. I'm actually going to take Tampa Bay to cover the number here. I think offensively, like they're still all right. Yeah, they're not going to have Mike Evans. Godwin, they said, could come back for the playoffs if they end up making a deep run. But I actually thought Baker looked pretty good against Atlanta with just a bunch of jabronis playing receiver. And now it's week 2, so they should be a bit more acclimated to the system. They were running a guy out at receiver that I thought was Dwayne Jarrett at one point. It wasn't. Some other Jared.
I had no idea that Colts game was a Sunday nighter.
It was flexed.
Flexed into the Sunday night game.
Yeah, it was Eagles Jaguars.
That's hella random Sunday nighter.
I think they needed to give Minnesota a chance to be on primetime, Jeff, because they weren't scheduled for any.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, they got last week. Whatever, fair enough. I'm not.
They were on
anti-Viking.
primetime last week.
Yeah, but everybody gets a Thursday game. I'm
This
talking
is
about like a
tough,
Sunday
right?
night.
The whole betting debate here is the Chiefs in big numbers, and they showed last week they just don't really need to cover them. They win Super Bowls without dominating. They'll just win the game. So you blindly just feel like it's more than a trend, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they
take the 9, but
they're 5-2 against the spread this year, and I think they were 4-0 in the playoffs last year. So that makes them 9-2 ATS in their last 11.
who did the Bucks just play in
Atlanta.
prime? No, Baltimore.
Yeah, and lost.
And
In
lost
prime
by
time,
10,
I was
yeah.
saying. Which felt like last week or the week before. Kind of, they were getting their ass kicked, and they came back. 9 points. I'll take the Bucks, but I only have to bet this game because it's on TV.
Why are they watching this, Tim? Because it's on TV.
Exactly. I like the Chiefs for no particular strong reason other than I think Tampa's still too damaged, and I will tease them down.
I'm swapping. I'll go with Tim here. I've done that all show. I don't think I did it last week. I got to pick a place. I'm turncoating. I'll ride with my buddy Tim.
All right. Well, Tim, do you want to recap? Are you teasing this one down too?
I am indeed.
All right. So you're teasing that down to 3. So do you want to give us a recap of your free money teaser?
Sure. We tease the Chiefs down, the Bengals down, the Eagles down, and the Dolphins up.
All right. So that should bring us to the super locks for the week. I'm between New Orleans, Washington, and the Rams as my 3. So they'll probably be, spoiler alert for the best bet show, it might be those 3 teams. I also like Buffalo a lot too at -6. I will take Washington -3.5 at the Giants.
Dolphins +6. Imagine Jeff would give us a total because that's all he's been talking about all night is totals.
Nope, but I am
That
going.
was weeks ago.
Somehow it was all the same podcast.
I'm going the Chargers.
Chargers back-to-back week. -2 is what you're getting them at on the show right now.
Yeah, this is a hinge game for the season because they get Tennessee next week, and then there's a chance to just have stacked a few, which would be nice.
Have they ever beaten the Titans?
Lots. All the time.
I feel like the last time
Like so much in the last 20 years.
They
I
do-
know that because my college roommate loves the Titans.
Didn't
They beat Vince Young in a playoff game.
Yeah,
Didn't
beat them all the
didn't
time.
they play them like week 2 and they were huge favorites and just got smashed by them like last year or 2 years ago?
I do remember a
Last
couple years
year
ago
we did.
when
Last year we did play them week 2, and they lost a close game. It was the Titans home opener, but
remember a
that's
couple years ago your boy fumbled on the goal line against the Titans to lose.
That
was a
Mel
loss?
G.
We also played the Titans in London, and they went for 2 at the buzzer and didn't get it. But when we play the Titans, if the Chargers win, that's called a blunt and a bucket. Because, like I said, my college roommate and the Chargers beat the Titans, and I'd just sit there smoking a blunt, eating a box of fried chicken. And that's my Titans tradition.
How did you know to eat that fried chicken if no one offered you a free sample of it first?
I don't need a free sample of regular KFC.
Why
I know
not?
what that tastes
I
like.
don't know
I
what
know
that-
what it
Yeah,
tastes
that's
like. and I
classic
want-
original recipe.
I haven't had KFC in like 15 years. I forget what it tastes like. I need a free sample.
Maybe we should
before I
have
buy it.
KFC at the house sometime.
No, it's
Are you paying
actually
for it?
pretty gross. You know who loves
No.
it the most? This shouldn't surprise you.
Cam?
Adores
You
KFC.
could have sold me on Gabe.
Gabe also likes KFC a lot, but for him it'd be PFK.
Poulet frites Kentucky.
I don't know if I could do
Shout
the
out
live-
to Gabe who was at the Dodger game for game 1, then was at the Bills game. It was an expensive trip, but he just bets the home team or his teams, and he was just paying off his nights. So I was enjoying seeing that tweet. And like him tweeting through a reservation casino experience is always good too.
Yes, and he got into like a car accident while in an Uber and had to get it. They left him on the freeway.
I missed that. Said what? That's a highlight.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like the maven of the internet here.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Well, you're doing a
This
guy.
is a busy couple of weeks in the world of social media. It's true. I, for one, cannot wait for the election to be over and for things, and baseball will simmer down and we'll get back into a more normal groove. There's too much news going on right now.
I bet Michigan versus Michigan State on the weekend, the winning side, and I had to watch it via like a Fire Stick stream. It is insane when our American friends like talk about the commercials in the swing states. It is insane. Like, it is at a level that is unfair for any human, no matter any political affiliation. Once you vote, your TV should be able to block ads.
That's a great idea. You should get a code when you vote.
Yeah,
and when you vote, you punch that code into your smart TV and immediately all political ads are disabled.
How triggered would you be if they actually did that, though? You'd be like, I don't want to punch this into my TV.
Well, I personally don't hate political ads. I someone who studies.
No,
this,
you
like,
like them. You like seeing them. But when it's like the 17,
I get why people hate them, and
no,
that there
Tim,
should
it's
be
the
an
same
opt-out.
commercial. Like all game, the same thing. You're yelling at you the same thing all game.
Well, I guess they figured.
And it's not the pizzas here.
No, that's true.
So
I can't wait for it to be over.
So should we do a live show next week where we don't even talk about football, but talk about the state-by-state returns? That'll go well.
I think people would not. Well,
People would
I
not
think
want
next
to watch
week.
that.
People would rather watch that than whatever CBS.
I
show.
think next week people who have alternative things other than politics will like this. Will do well on a Wednesday because people will not want to hear about it.
And whoever is into it, and if their side hasn't won, that will be an escape. In fact, we should promise a politics-free show next week.
No,
it is a safe haven for whomever.
This is an alt-right podcast, as someone pointed out to me last week, because we photoshopped you onto Trump at McDonald's.
But not when like Geoff was put on Trump for the mugshot photo.
Well,
which
do
you
you have
love.
any? I guess next week though. No, we don't have
There
to
it
talk
is.
about.
Jeff even likes that photo.
I love it. We're not gonna. Just come on, like that's just yeah. If I I don't. Next week we shouldn't talk about it, but you could give a prediction. I think
I can do that. I
That'd
could do
be
that for people. That'd be fine.
Why don't you give the prediction right now?
No, a week is an eternity. I'll wait till next. This is good SEO.
What could
To,
what? Listen. I want to be crazy here, but what could Trump possibly do to hurt himself in the polls at this point?
No, nothing. But like, if I want to see some more polls come in the next week before I pick the winner.
Sure, okay, maybe you want the polls to mature a little bit, but I'm like, I mean, what did he say? He could shoot someone and it'd be fine.
No, I don't know that he can change much, but I just want to see what some of the numbers come in at in the last few days before I tell you what I think. I mean, it's going to be razor close, but I'm not sure which way. I'm not sure which way I'll predict it yet. I'm leaning towards predicting a Kamala very slight win, but I'm not certain yet.
Well, now that we're an alt-right podcast and you do curse things, the viewers are going to be very impressed by that.
Whatever. I'll give you. In fact, I'll give you my map. I'll send Paul my map before the podcast.
Oh,
And then Paul can like put the map up on the on, and he can see the map that I'll have picked.
Are you sure you know how to do that?
I do. I can just snip it.
what?
I can like take a photo of the map on my computer, like a screenshot sort of thing.
Oh, okay, a screenshot. I thought you meant that you were going to be the person to take. I thought you meant you were going to either circumcise it when you said snip it, or that you were going to pull it up on your computer and then take a photo of it on your phone and send it to Paul.
No.
That's a real old person move.
I can send the screenshot of my map from one of those sites to Paul, and then he can post it when we talk about my predictions
All right,
on the board.
that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I want to thank the Coin for leading everything. If you want to pay $30,000 to buy a coin, you can just get a hold of me. We're selling that, right, Geoff? Coins?
Yeah, Cust coins.
Oh no, this is a coin. Cust coin is something completely different. That operates on a different level of Ethereum, I think.
Oh, fair enough. Coin.
And next week, we won't talk about football at all, as we just said. Only election stuff and cryptocurrency, as explained by Tim and Cust.
Tim and Gust.
That is not my name. I just think it would be good for us to give people a respite from politics next week. Either people who are going to be sad because their preferred candidates lost, or people who just could not care less about what I assume will be a very chaotic week next week.
Well, it's also
no matter what happens, it will
we-
be very unpleasant for all involved.
we don't record this show at the optimal time to talk about the election anyway, as they will be released we record before we'll see any of the results come in, and by the time the show comes out, people will probably know who's going to win.
One would think.
So
Yes.
yeah, that takes us out of the running to be talking about the election next week. But
Which I think is great.
might have some election bets down though. Wait.
Well, I think there's
Oh,
there's
yeah.
value there, I'm sure.
Big value on some of the
Very,
candidates.
the greatest.
The greatest value. Smash a like while you're here. Congratulations to the winners, which I have to go back and look up who they were, and I will send you money. Thank you for watching, rating, and reviewing.
Remember? One. You asked, how would you pronounce that name with all the Z's in a row? I said, Zzz. This is good material, folks. We are like 2 hours and 20 minutes into this show. This is good material.
We are 2 hours and 51 minutes into this, Tim.
Oh, God. That's so self-indulgent.
You literally
We do
cut him
not
off from
need-
ending the show.
I
We
tried,
do not
I
need
tried
to-
to end the show.
We do not need to be going on at 2 hours and 50 minutes per show.
I'm sorry. I'm not the one who was fighting about food sample curtains.
Well, just it makes me anxious.
Thank you all for watching the Pat Mayo Experience. Rate and review. Use Underdog. Join Run the Sims. And hey, join the big one and done. There's $1 million guaranteed in the prize pool this year at FantasyGolfChampionships.com in the race for the Mayo Cup. And more on that in the future. Until then, I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience. Experience.